There it is. That's it. That's, oh, God. Look at the camera. Look at the TV. The TV's all slanted. Why? Because I hit the table. I hit the table. That's why you can't have the camera on the table. Can't have the camera on the table. Don't want to be doing this live stream in a Batman episode. Remember Batman from the 1960s, the TV show? Of course you don't. I'm the only old person here. They used to slant the camera. The camera would be like, so, well, I can show you. So everything was like, I don't know why they would do that. It was a cool effect. It was the height of special effects in 1960. Or maybe it wasn't the height of special effects in 1970, let's say. Let's say it wasn't the height of special effects back in that era, but it was the height of special effects to me because I ain't seen much. I was only like 5, 6 years old. That was crazy. The camera's sideways. Hi, folks. That's enough of this nonsense. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this show every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. High noon. Been doing it for 2.5 years every day. Yeah, I know. What's wrong with this guy? Yeah, well, what exactly? What is wrong with me? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with me. I'll start by telling you exactly what's right with me. What's right with me is you people. The chat room. If I was talking to like 3 people every day in the chat room, I'd be like, oh God, this is at some point really sad. But I'm not. I'm talking to a bunch of you guys. You show up every day. I sit here and I brag. I've been doing this every day, Monday through Friday since 2021. That's me bragging that. Fact of the matter is you folks have been here with me. Yeah, some new have come along the way. Not all of you are day one chat room folks. But holy balls, my guys and gals. That is awesome. So thank you. Why we're here. And it's also fun. I don't know if any of you are here because you find this actually entertaining or if the chat room and the camaraderie that we have all sort of, gotten going here is why you're here. I don't know. I don't ask questions. I don't care. I don't care if you're not here for me. I don't care if maybe you're only here for the back and forth between an, I don't know, Adam and a Byron in the chat room. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe they're the true stars. Could be. But the fact is, it's High Noon Rant with Pugs Moran. My name's on it. That's the old Johnny Carson thing. They used to say somebody said to Johnny Carson once. Actually, I think this was in the 60 Minutes interview. They said to Johnny, did you ever get jealous that the next morning around America's water coolers, people are talking about how funny, hey, did you see Richard Pryor on Johnny last night? Or hey, did you see how funny? Did you ever get jealous that other people are the big takeaways from your show? And he said, no, because they all say, did you see it on Johnny last night? That's right. He didn't care. He wasn't letting his ego get in the way. He was like, I want people to be funnier than me. I want people to come on here and just be the reason everybody's talking about it. Why? Because I want people talking about my show. That was his attitude. I always loved that attitude. It's like, hell yeah. That's great. Do you know, and the reason it's sort of significant, maybe it's more significant for me or for people who work in, entertainment arts or creation of entertainment, that kind of thing. It's because there are so many people who aren't like that. I'll give you a little bit of dish. There was a reason Russ Martin never had comedians on his show. Russ Martin would never have a comedian on his show because Russ Martin did not want anyone ever being funnier than he was. That was just that was his ego. It worked for him. I mean, look, well, he died wildly young because of an insane way he lived his life. But I mean, it worked for him, I guess, in terms of radio. But I always thought that was, no, man, you come on my show and you kill. That's what I want. I want you to be better than me. I want my fans my listeners, my whatever, to love you more. So I don't care if you're all coming here for the chat room camaraderie. We're having a good time together. That's what the end of the day is all about. I'm in a weird place today. I know we're going to get started with the rant. What is the rant? Well, the rant is a collection of all the day's news, headlines, hot topics, current events, whatever it is that people are buzzing about in this world. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to deliver it to you in a fairly unique way, though. There's no commercials. There's no stops. There's no breaks. There's no, hey, Blanche, why don't you tell us what the traffic is looking like out there? There's none of that. I don't get to go to the bathroom. And let me tell you, today, that's going to be an issue. I can already tell. And I'm not talking about the upper house. Right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the bathroom. I feel like the lower house is getting involved in today's show. So I don't get to do that. I just got to hold it. It's called a stream of consciousness. And I just start talking as I've been demonstrating now for a good 5 minutes. I just start talking and I don't stop until we are completely prepped up on all the day's news. Hi, Al. Let's say hi to the chat room. Our guy Al is here. The lovely Jen is here. Witch Kitty? Witch Kitty, the hottest band in Northern California. Witch Kitty. We should play some Witch Kitty. Why not? Oh, probably because you could. What have you guys like signed a deal yet or something? Or are you in like some kind of a period where you've signed something and now YouTube won't let me play Witch Kitty songs anymore? Ugh. I don't know. Whatever. Jeff B. Jeff B is here. Jeff Ballard. He's holding down the cornfields for us in Middle America. He's a great American. Or sometimes, he's Jeff. He's like the rest of us. Sometimes he's let's see. Who else? Let me go more. Let me say more. We got Peter. Hello. We got Peter. We got Joel. We got Al, of course. Whitney is in the room. Hi, Whitney. Rainy days. Adam Raina, the aforementioned Leslie C. Al again. Jeff. Thank you, folks, everybody. I'd just like to take a little head count there in the chat room before we get rolling. Weird day. Having a weird day. Having weird things. First of all, Monday and Tuesday and Friday, we were blessed with the opportunity to fill in for my favorite morning show here in the market, the Downbeat on the Freak. I love those guys. Kind of going through withdrawals because I woke up today at like 5:45. Like, that ain't normal. Went to bed last night at like 10:30. Fell asleep. Didn't go to bed. Can't say I went to bed last night. I will say that I fell asleep in the middle of the People versus O.J. Simpson episode 5. So I got to rewatch that at some point this evening. So it's weird. I've been up for a long time. Byron, what chopped liver? What's that? Barney's in the room. Barney's here. My God, Barney. Barney says, have you ever wondered how often you talk to someone who is desperately trying to not poop their pants? No, but that is a very interesting exercise that we can all engage in now and as we go out into the world. Just maybe we start with that. Before we get into this conversation, you don't have to poop or anything, do you? I think that's a good way. That's an icebreaker. Sets you off in the start of the conversation as being slightly eccentric, maybe fun. You get to test whether or not this person's a prude. Ew, too much information. Adam's here. Adam says, I'm having a good day. Chili is smelling good. My weight is finally down this week, and I'm about to do my third run of the week. Yeah, Adam's crushing it, man. He's, Adam was a fat guy. I am a fat guy. We've all been fat guys. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us have. He just, he just got to a point in his life where a lot of guys get to this point, but not a lot of guys can actually do it. He has dropped a lot of weight. So, man, that's really inspiring, dude. That's great. Yeah, you get to an age where you start seeing, the fat guys in your life who are 10, 15 years older than you, dropping dead with a girl about to graduate high school. It's like, you got to start going, okay, whatever was responsible for me eating my feelings all these years, and these are all things I'm speaking of myself at this point, whatever was responsible for me eating my feelings all these years and allowing myself to get this out of shape, now I have to be in shape, not for me and not for my own vanity, but for somebody else, because that is a life lesson. And that is, what's really important. So good for you, Adam. By the way, I do want to talk about Adam and his chili. One of the most interesting things about living here and working in media and working in media. I mean, what do you call this? I don't know what this is. I do fill-ins at the Freak sometimes. Yeah, whatever. Okay. But my history is working in media. But this is a truly awesome time. We talked about this a little bit when Sybil and I were filling in on the Downbeat yesterday. This is a truly awesome time to be here in North Texas, to be here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It is an exploding place. I mean, we talked about the numbers. We talked about how it's the fastest growing area in the entire nation. We talked about on this very show how there are What are you doing? You either get in or you get out. This is the dog, folks. The dog is absolutely driving me nuts. Hold on. You know what? Because I want to be a man of my word, I'll keep the stream of consciousness going. I will continue to speak while I let the damn dog into the studio because she's just going to howl. And it's not just about the howling, folks. She's also, at some point, she's going to start scratching at the door. And the door's a very nice door, what with this being Highland Park and all. Get in here, you nut. All right, now she's in. Move. I got to climb back into the cockpit like the animal I've become. Do you see my legs? Yeah, I'm wearing shorts. Look, I'm like really waxing poetic here today at the beginning of the show, aren't I? So what were we talking about? We were talking about the exploding Metroplex and how one of the opportunities for a station like The Freak, and I see nothing but opportunities for a station like The Freak, right? That first of all, they got the talent. The talent is there. Those are some of the most compelling personalities in Dallas-Fort Worth radio. And the opportunity is, of course, this rapidly expanding area. And it's not just expanding because they outlawed abortion in Texas and now all the babies is being born. No, it's expanding because people across this country have come to the conclusion one way or another. And I admit that a lot of it is because of jobs. There are jobs here. There are companies starting here. People are moving here. And a lot of people are moving here who are, in a certain demographic. How many people are from New Jersey? How many people from Chicago like me? Of course, we know about the Californians and the Coloradans. This place, my point is, this place is filling up with wannabe Texans. And yeah, I use that word specifically, wannabe Texans. They aren't Texans. They're moving here. Technically, their driver's license will say that they are and that they'll pay their taxes and all that stuff. And their address will say that they are. But, they're going to feel like outsiders. And for a station like The Freak, man, that is just like there is gold in them there hills. You know what I mean? I just think there are people who are moving to the area who are looking for something new. And by the way, this is good. This whole station, this whole market has been for the better part of the 25 years that I've been here. This entire media market has been in the shadow of Kid Craddock and the Kiss FM juggernaut and the Ticket. But these new people come in here, they don't give a shit about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? They're looking for something new. They're working in, they bought their house in Allen and maybe they're working in Plano. So they're commuting in their car. They're from New Jersey. Their favorite morning show isn't available to them on the radio. So they're looking for something new. That's what I see as the future of The Freak. I see the future the Freak being able to tap into that and just grow exponentially. We were doing the show these past few days, and we made a concerted effort not to talk about 105.3, right? Because that would be the natural inclination for me and Sybil, because that's where me and Sybil worked. We were like, we can do some. We had Kelly on, but we had Kelly on for a specific purpose. She was a mom who had a question, and we thought it was a good question. She was looking for ways to tell her 12-year-old son about sex. We thought that would be a fun conversation to have. But she wasn't on because, hey, it's Kelly, and hey, let's talk to Bobby, and hey, all the. No, we'd love to do that. That's what digital stuff is for, right? But we just tried to do a normal radio show. And I wanted to say that it was that show. Those shows were especially targeted to people who didn't know anything of the history of 105.3, who didn't know Kiss FM, who doesn't care about the Ticket or, what's been changing with the Ticket. Not like the rest of us. The rest of us have been here for all of that. These are new people. And as I say, there is gold in them there hills. So it's always a pleasure to be able to hang out with the people at The Freak and be allowed to crash on their couch, as we say, and keep supporting that station, man. There's an opportunity there. I'm telling you, it can grow and it can grow. Grew and it can grow. Okay, so now back to the other point. We did a segment yesterday called Welcome to Texas, where we wanted to hear from people who had moved here from somewhere else, and we talked to a couple of them on the phone. And one of the issues that was really big, and I guess I'm anti-Texan on this, because although I am certainly not native born and I do not consider myself, I would never be so bold as to say I'm a Texan. I'm Texan adjacent is what I am. I understand the Texan. I'm a Texan interpreter. That's kind of my job. You have to have love and respect for them to be able to properly interpret them to outside people. So I take this job very seriously. But one of the things that came up most often among people who moved here from elsewhere, and also one of the things that native-born Texans were most strident about, and something I disagree with my Texan brothers, cousins, we'll call them cousins. Beans, folks, beans. Beans belong in chili. That's right, I said it. I said it. Send your cards and letters to someone who gives a shit. Beans belong in chili. Now, look, I have had tremendous Texas chili, and I understand the origins of chili, and what started here, we invented it. Nah, you know what? That may be true, but it was improved elsewhere when somebody added beans to chili. There's a big war. Apparently, this is like New York versus Chicago style pizza. Beans or no beans in chili. I think one thing, let's start off before we get into this argument. Let's agree that the people in Cincinnati don't know the first thing about chili. Their chili is garbage. Cincinnati thinks they're chili people. And you know what they do? You know what Cincinnati chili is? It's spaghetti, but without spaghetti sauce. They use just canned chili instead. It's like a can of Hormel chili, or Wolf brand, whatever you prefer, just a can of chili poured over some noodles. In Cincinnati, they like hang their hat on that, as they're calling it. So before we get into a proper argument concerning beans versus no beans in chili, let's all have common ground and agree that Cincinnati chili, they don't know what the fuck. They don't have a place. They don't have a seat at this table. Now, I believe that beans, pinto beans in particular, maybe some black beans, doesn't matter. I believe that certainly rounds out a nice chili. I think the chili tends to get a little bit watery if you're just going to use beef, if you're just going to use ground beef, if you're just going to use whatever. And if you are doing that, then I need to see, look, if you are just going to use beef and no cheese or no beans, then I'm going to need to see some sort of heavy representation of red peppers, bell peppers, onion, and jalapeno at least. You're going to have to do something to fill up all the space. Otherwise, I'm not eating chili. I'm eating soup. I'm eating beef red soup. That's my position on beans, whether they belong in chili or not. And we will not be discussing it any further. Adam says his anti-bean position, which apparently he has, is more based upon carb content than anything else, and that's acceptable. That is very much acceptable. Adam also says, Kelly, my former partner, had a chicken chili with some white beans that was exceptional. Yeah, man, talk about missed opportunity. That girl could cook. That was, look, I know everybody's mom can cook, but the kids that grew up with Kelly as their mom, Jesus, man, she could cook. She was the absolute greatest thing that I ever ate. And I've eaten a lot of things. Look at the size of me. I've been around a while too. The greatest thing that I've ever ate was something that she just whipped up. I had mentioned that I have a favorite dish at Maggiano's. Now that's this. I'm not talking about the airport shopping mall version of Maggiano's that we see everywhere else. Maggiano's is an original restaurant in Chicago. The real Maggiano's is one of the best restaurants I've ever eaten at. The original Maggiano's ain't even there anymore. I think the original Maggiano's is now dorms for Columbia, my alma mater. But I ate at the original Maggiano's a lot, and they had a thing called turkey tetrazzini. And it was only on the menu at that one Maggiano's, and it was so good. And I mentioned that to Kelly once, and Kelly went and made me from scratch. She had no idea how to do it. She made me turkey tetrazzini with the leftover turkey from Thanksgiving dinner, and it was the single greatest thing that I've ever eaten. At the time, I was living with another dude, not like gay-like, but, you know, financially. We were splitting a nice big house. And it caused a huge fight, because he thought that the turkey tetrazzini that was made for me was something that he could also eat. And he also thought that it was one of the best things he ever tasted. And boy, oh boy, things didn't go well. You keep your mitts off of my turkey tetrazzini. Kelly could cook. Barney says chili as a sauce, no beans. Chili as a meal, beans. I can get behind that, Barney. Barney, I think you and I can agree with that, because that it is not to say that chili that doesn't contain beans isn't chili. It seems like, oh, what, you didn't have beans? Like, it only, like, to me, it seems like it only exists because you didn't have one of the ingredients. But people will be striding about that. Beans don't belong in chili. Anyway, welcome to Texas. If you're new to the Metroplex, I stand with you. Your official interpreter, your Texas interpreter. I stand with you that I do believe that beans have a place in proper chili society. All right, let's get started. That's enough. Oh, I do want to think one more time before we get started here. This show, of course, as you know it, if you enjoy this show runs completely on your tips and your gratuities. If you want to help support this kind of radio, non-political, non-divisive, current events driven, I'm going to give you hot takes, but they ain't going to come from a guy who's representing one political ideology. They're just going to come from a dumb guy who's trying to fill time on a live stream. So enjoy. We can all talk about that. We do every day award the position of executive producer of the day to the person who tipped the largest on the day before. And today, yet again, Tracy D. I do not say how much people gave. Tracy dropped a bomb. Thank you, Tracy. Also need to thank Barney. There are so many of you folks out there who, you drop your tips every day. Like I say, like I'm your bartender, your pizza delivery guy. You spend 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever, watching this show. Maybe you drop a couple of bucks. Maybe you fin, huh? Maybe. That's what I like to do. I feel like a bartender here. So those people who do that with pretty good consistency. What are you doing, dog? Oh, the dog is deciding to. She's not supposed to be on the bed, but she's on the bed, and she's now making a nest. She's stabbing my pillows with her claws, and she's trying to arrange them properly. Now is the time to lay down. Now she's just standing over the nest that she's created. Anyway, my daily people, my Barneys, my Franks, there's so many of you. I don't want to mention names. You guys are awesome. And although sometimes you don't make it to biggest tipper of the day, thus the executive producer title, but you're still incredibly appreciated, and thank you so much. You guys keep this show going. All right, now, if you are so inclined to support non-divisive, current events driven hot talk radio the way it should sound, the way radio doesn't allow, you can drop something. All right, here we go. We're gonna get going with the show. Show runs in 4 quarters. That's how we do it, right? We give you 4 quarters that seamlessly come together to create the full stream of consciousness, current events driven show. First quarter, we call that antecedently on this day. I cherry pick a couple of events that have occurred on this day throughout history, and we riff on them a little bit. Why do we do this? We're looking for rhythms. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for anything that can give us an edge on the day that's coming. Quarter 2 is birthdays. If I need to explain that to you, this ain't the show for you. Quarter 3, deads. Now this one, yes, I'll give you a little explanation on deads. Deads is where we look at the people who died on this day and we decide whether they went to heaven or hell. We open their life's resume based on our own understanding of Christian Judeo values and whatnot. We decide this person died, where'd they go? It's fun. I like to do that. Quarter 4, the fourth quarter, it's the bulk of the show, the meat and the potatoes. It's where the rubber hits the road. The hot topics, current events, trends, headlines, whatever it is people are talking about. That's what we spend the most of the time on. So let's get started. It is time for the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran, for the 24th day of April. Yeah, kid's birthday's coming up. God, May is such a bad month, man. It's like bills, and then there's kid's birthday, and then there's just still people people when they got their hand out waiting to get paid from me in May, they typically have to wait a little bit longer. It's a rough one. But we will get through it. It is May 24th, year of our Lord 2024, May 24th, April 24th. April 24th is the 115th day of the year because of leap year. 251 more of these remaining until the end of the year. All right, let's get started. Quarter 1, antecedently on this day, I'll look back at all the events that have helped shape our understanding of this very episode of April the 24th. Previously on April the 24th. On this day, antecedently in 1800, the United States Library of Congress is established when President John Adams signs legislation to approve $5,000 in purchases for what he says, such books as may be necessary for the use of Congress. Library of Congress on this day. All right, I need chat room help here. I need you chat room ballers. Okay. All right. What was $5,000 in 1800? Right? What would that be today? Like how much? Like if we started a new country today and we wanted to begin the Library of Congress, how much in today money would $5,000 get us? All right. Appreciate you. On this day, antecedently in the year 1960, the Eastern Uprising, Irish rebels led by Patrick Pearse and James Connolly launch an uprising in Dublin against British rule and proclaim an Irish Republic. Never forget, boys! Never forget! The Easter Uprising. Terrible failure for the Irish Republic. But was it? Resonated through the ages. Kind of like a 911 never forget bumper sticker, right? Except this one lasted more than 10 years. The Easter Uprising on this day in Dublin, 1960. Excuse me. Antecedently on this day in 1967, cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov became the first man to die in a manned space mission. We don't know about this. We know about like me. I'm a space geek. You know me. I like the space geeky stuff. I know about this guy. This guy's the first human to die in space. Well, he didn't die in space, or maybe he did. Who knows? They had a cyanide pill. Cosmonauts had it different than astronauts. God, there was our astronauts were like sort of convinced that we could totally do this. Whereas cosmonauts, they were in the program and they were told, I'm not sure we can do this, but hey, thanks for trying. So they were given stuff. They were given stuff like cyanide pills and ways to kill themselves if stuff was really bad up there. There are some stories that NASA astronauts were given the same thing, but they've never risen to the level of actual, any kind of confirmation. There have been stories. It's a little dark, but hey. So yeah, he died. Here's what happened. His parachute didn't deploy. So he died on re-entry. He smashed full force right into Siberia. Don't know it was Siberia. Maybe it was the ocean, but for the sake of this painting a picture, let's pretend it was Siberia. On this day, 1969, cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov dies in the Suez 1 when his parachute fails to open. Nobody did the math. I asked people to do the math. I asked people to figure out what $5,000 in 1800 would be worth today. That is the amount that John Adams earmarked for the start of the Library of Congress, and not one of you did the heavy lifting. Apparently, we don't care. Antecedently on this day in 1980, 8 U.S. servicemen die in Operation Eagle Claws. They attempt to end the Iran hostage crisis. Do you remember this? I remember this. I was like a little kid. It was during the Iran hostage crisis, and Carter went full balls with the military. They're like, let's go. They had an operation, one of these commando units. I don't know what they were, but some specific elite military units. And they were landing in the desert, and they were getting ready to stage their operation to free the American and Canadian and any British hostages, whatever. It was mostly American and Canadian hostages. And as they were landing their helicopters in the middle of the night, a dust storm, a sandstorm, if you will, kicked up, and the helicopters collided, and 8 U.S. service members died. A horrible, horrible piece of news that was broken to the American public in the morning. Not good. I mean, and of course, Carter got blamed for it. That's because he's a Democrat. They went with that or whatever. Actually, no, they probably didn't go with that. We weren't that bad back then. Carter did it because, he's first of all, Carter was a Georgia Democrat. So, I don't know what that means in today's world. It's probably, probably MAGA in today's world. I don't know. Who knows? It wasn't his fault. The president gets briefed by all of these military people who come up with scenarios, and he goes, okay, you guys can do this because, I'm just a peanut farmer from Georgia. I'm not a career military man. This is something that you, as my experts on this, you're advising me of. And so, it wasn't his fault. We do that. We're so stupid. We're so reductive with our presidents. We blame our presidents for everything. It's like they do nothing. They really do nothing. They're a figurehead. They're the Queen of England for the most part. That's not true. The president has executive orders. Yeah, and they're shamed into never using executive orders. I personally, me, I'm an advocate for some form of a benevolent dictator. Tom Hanks or Dave Grohl, Paul Rudd, whoever, put him in the chair. Let him make the decisions. We all seem to trust those people. We can't be bothered with these heavy decisions. Antecedently on this day in the year 2005, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger is inaugurated as the 265th Pope of the Catholic Church, taking the name Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Roman numerals. Now I got to, oh, TV went dead. Smart TVs. They're so inconsistent. I can't do Roman numerals. That's why I hate the Super Bowl so much. And what Super Bowl is this? All right, let's say he was Pope Benedict. He became Benedict. You got an X, that's a 10, right? And then a V, that's a 5. So that's 15 and a 1, 16. There we go. Look at me. I worked through it. Pope Benedict the 16th. Became the Pope. And then, is he the Pope that quit? Is he the quitter Pope? Is he that guy? Is he dead or is he alive? Is he dead? I don't know if he's dead. Wasn't there a period of time where we had 2 popes? We had like one Pope doing the Cato Kalin bit, living in the back of the Vatican, like when the regular Pope was, I don't know. Keep Pope alive. That's what I say. Keep him alive back there. On this day in 2005, Cardinal Ratzinger, the Nazi cardinal, the Nazi Pope. That's going to be how I think he's historically remembered. Look, he was around. He was a priest. The Nazis were in power. He did what a man did. Yeah. Hey, did you hear on the stream when Pugs started justifying people being involved in the Nazi party during the reign of Hitler? Oh, it was crazy. He can't take that back because it's a stream of consciousness. That's not what I meant. We'll move on. Antecedently on this day in 2011, WikiLeaks starts publishing the Guantanamo Bay files. Oh my God, that was a big one. Still don't know what WikiLeaks is. I don't know. I was like, what is WikiLeaks? I don't know what it is. Is it a website? It's not Wikipedia, right? Those are different. I love Wikipedia. I don't want to hate the guy who started Wikipedia. But we're supposed to hate the guy who started WikiLeaks? I don't know. That's mumbo jumbo. I don't know what's going on there. First of all, here's the thing about WikiLeaks. This is what I love about WikiLeaks. Or more to the point, what I hate about modern American media. So the problem, as I understand it, is that WikiLeaks was disclosing publicly on the internet in chat rooms and dark corners and all this stuff, places where only weirdos go and read this stuff, right? That's what WikiLeaks was doing. And that was outrageous because anybody could find out about what they were saying. That was the complaint, at least as it was presented to us by the media. The national media, whether it's CNN, Fox, MSNBC, or whatever the hell else it was, they were the people that went, can you believe they're letting people know that now you have access to all of this material by going to this website? Do you see what I'm saying? If it was such a big problem, why would you just ignore the story? Why would you just be like, instead, no, they decided to clutch their pearls, get us all stirred up about how dangerous it is to have this information out there, and then they amplified the information that was out there. Duplicitous media bullshit. On this day in 2011, WikiLeaks put all that stuff out. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. I just know that was pretty nonsensical logic on the part of the American media in blowing the WikiLeaks story up. He's going to die. I'm going to die right here on the air. That was nonsense. People can't know this stuff. What can't people know? What I'm about to show you. Look at what WikiLeaks published. Can you believe it? How dangerous it is to have this stuff be public. And the media made it all public and then acted like, oh, stop it. Now, I am a great believer in the idea that we, the people, freedom being what it is, and liberty and all that mumbo jumbo. You know that I believe that we, the people, are not capable of handling almost anything. We need to know it all. Oh, look, some of us need to know it all, not all of us. Some of you just, hang out at the bar at Chili's, hit on the waitress, do whatever not seriously. Information does not need to be, we don't need to know. If you want to know, if you have an interest, it should be available to you, but it shouldn't be presented front and center in a way that is designed simply to stir us up. And that's what the WikiLeaks story was. It was designed to stir us up. Now, is there some national security violations? Oh, I'm sure. Is there some legal, by the law of the land, repercussions that should come the way of the person who put these out? Yeah, those are all different issues. The issue that really got me from the get-go was how the media was like, we shouldn't know this, but here we are telling you about it. Some nonsense. And that's what the media is all about, nonsense. What was the story? We've got a story coming up that we're going to cover in our hot topics. That is another example of how, and it's one of the most troubling things about us, we the people. I include myself in this. You hear me, I talk all the time about programming and about how in the last few years of my life, I have worked actively to resist the programming. And what is programming? Programming is when you're standing around with your boys at the bar and a song by Nickelback comes on and you go, Nickelback sucks. Nickelback doesn't suck. Okay, they're the worst band ever. There's never been a band worse than Nickelback. I'm like, okay, great. I bet their accountant would disagree with you. That's programming. Somehow we've all been programmed to think that they're the worst band ever. They're not my cup of tea. I'm not here. I'm not a Nickelback apologist. But this willingness for all of us, even people who don't know the first fucking thing about Nickelback, I got a 14-year-old son who's like, Nickelback, you probably like Nickelback. You know, it's like one of his jokes. I'm like, you don't even know from Nickelback. Nobody could make the exact same songs 5 different times and chart in the top 10 in quite the way that Nickelback could. Nickelback had a formula, but that's programming. So I'm always about let's try and resist our programming. Now, there's a story that we're going to talk about when we get into the hot topics that just made me think, man, the normalization due to programming that we Americans, we will accept almost anything. We'll accept it. We'll be like, I guess that's normal now. I guess that's how things go. Dogs don't need to be on leashes anymore. They can just run up and accost it. Okay, that's just whatever it is. Nickelback is a great example of it. Also, another great example of it is, and by the way, these are more pedestrian level examples. There are much larger examples of our programming and how we just think certain things. I'll give you an example of programming that we have suddenly as a nation overcome in the last couple of weeks. We used to be programmed to be Team Israel no matter what. Team Israel. What? The brown Arabs, they're going after you? We're Team Israel. That was kind of programming. You saw it with your politicians whenever they went on. Even a politician that had an issue with something Israel was doing would backpedal quicker than a circus clown going, but I just want to make it clear that I fully support the people of Israel and the state of Israel. That was programming. And for the longest time, and by the way, let's not conflate it. Let's not pretend like I'm on the side of the Palestinians. Now I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But for the longest time, while everybody else was just stridently Team Israel, I was always going, well, wait a second, man. They're kind of taking advantage of the fact that we will say yes to everything they want. Can we just have a reasonable conversation about the way Israel is kind of behaving and, you know, their attitudes toward their neighbors? And look, it's understandable. Their neighbors, a lot of them are publicly on record as saying, let's wipe them off the face of the earth. So it's complicated. But anyways, my point was, as a nation, we were like 90% in the corner of, Israel, anything Israel. And now here we're closing down Ivy League universities because modern American students have taken over these campuses because suddenly they're not pro-Israel. It's just odd. Not taking a side. I'm simply commenting on something we're seeing and how it relates to my belief that we are so easily programmed. And the fact of the matter is that if anything suddenly becomes normalized, if it just becomes normal, we're just totally willing to be okay with it. And I'll address that more in a story that's coming up today. Now it's on to quarter 2. Let's move into quarter 2 of today's show. We call this the birthdays. Buanum. They're having a birthday. I don't know if it's really their birthday. I don't run around to county offices checking. It's published reports. These people are celebrating birthdays. Born on this day in the year 1581. That's right. Vincent de Paul. Vincent de Paul. Now, who's Vincent de Paul? You got to know who Vincent de Paul is, right? I think DePaul University in Chicago is named after him. Not 100% sure on that. Believe it's probably the case. Vincent de Paul was a French priest and later a saint. That's right. Saint Vincent de Paul, the patron saint of people who want to look good but don't want to pay mall prices. It's a good joke, but only if you're familiar with the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store chains. I don't know. Is that a thing in Texas? I don't know. We got them up in the Midwest. St. Vincent de Paul. St. Vincent de Paul is also the patron saint of local garage bands trying to find unique, cool clothing for their first live gig. St. Vincent de Paul is the patron saint of them. He's also the patron saint of community theater departments looking for costumes on the cheap. St. Vincent de Paul. Also, the patron saint of the clothes that little poor kid at your kid's elementary school wears to school every day. St. Vincent de Paul. Born on this day in 1581. Born on this day in 1534. That's a 9. Tell your stupid old eyes that that's a 9. Born on this day in 1934. Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine. Oh, where's my coffee? Here it is. Shirley MacLaine. Are we programmed to hate her? Wasn't she one of these people like Jane Fonda that we were programmed to hate? We hate her because she says strange things on the Mike Douglas show. What? I don't know. What was she in? Was she Shirley MacLaine? She's just an old lady actress my whole life. And people are like, God, it's like that. She's famous, not so much for being an actress, which I assume she's a pretty good actress because she's had a career. She's more famous just because people are like, I don't know why, but I don't like her. Like Jane Fonda. Maybe Barbara Streisand. I don't know. Maybe Dixie Chicks. We can anybody in there. I don't know what Shirley MacLaine did, but apparently she's not well liked. Well, happy birthday, Madam MacLaine. She's Warren Beatty's big sister. Warren Beatty dislikes her so that he changed his name. Didn't want to be associated with her. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, they're brother and sister. Happy birthday, Shirley MacLaine, born on this day. Born on this day, another person that people are programmed to either love or hate. And the programming on this one goes both ways. Barbara Streisand. Let me take it back to my childhood. If you are a young Jewish girl who is Gen X, who grew up in a suburb with parents who had a little bit of money, I promise you that today in 2024, you are a diehard Streisand fan. Oh my God, the people who are diehard Streisand fans are diehard Streisand fans. I don't get it. I never got it. Hey, look, she made a movie when I was a little kid called What's Up, Doc with Ryan O'Neal. It was hysterical. I love that movie. That's the only thing I like about Barbara Streisand. Everything else is, I don't think so. Can she sing? Probably. Do I like her songs enough to listen to them all the way through? Nah. Happy birthday, Barbara Streisand. Born on this day in 1942. Born on this day in 1953. Here's one of them dudes. I love this guy. This guy. Not a big star. Should have been a big star. The first time he came across our plates, I thought this dude was going to blow it up. I thought this dude is going to be the next Dustin Hoffman. This dude is going to be the next greatest actor of his generation. And it didn't work out so well for the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Eric Bogosian. Eric Bogosian, born on this day in 1953. Eric Bogosian was a New York, let's go back to the late 70s, early 80s. Eric Bogosian was a New York City punk rock playwright, actor, very acclaimed, zero success, zero commercial success, critical acclaim. I guess that means something. Don't know how well you're going to eat on critical acclaim, but Eric Bogosian first broke through to the mainstream when his off-Broadway play was developed by Oliver Stone into a film called Talk Radio. Now, I don't know if Talk Radio is considered one of Oliver Stone's great films. I only know that, because I work in talk radio, and when this movie came out, I had already wanted a career in talk radio. And when I saw Eric Bogosian as Barry Champlain, a Dallas, Texas late night radio host, yeah, that resonated with me at 15 years old or whatever I was when I saw this movie. I can tell you that when I moved to Dallas, I went, look, when you're working radio, I was working in my hometown, Chicago. I felt very blessed. Oh my God, this is my hometown. It's one of the things I look at Ben and Skin and I go, you boys have it so good. Do you understand? What if Ben and Skin suddenly had to move to Boston? I mean, would they do it? Who knows? Probably not. They got other interests here. But my point is this. When I moved to Dallas, I was like, the way I justified it was, that's where Barry Champlain was. That's cool. Dallas is a real city. They made it look really cool in that. Talk radio. Talk radio hit me like a ton of bricks when I first saw it as a kid. Eric Bogosian was so good. As a matter of fact, one of my, I've got all these weird pet projects and these little stunts that I want to do. One of the things that I want to do is I would love to stage a one-man presentation of talk radio. Just do the play the way Eric Bogosian did it on Off-Broadway. I've seen films of that, of the original. This is how deep I am into talk radio. I love talk radio, the film. That'd be so cool. Like, I would just love to do that as a one-man play. And that's all it takes, because the film talk radio is supposed to just take place on one talk radio show, him alone in a studio, a dark studio, talking to all of these callers. I think that'd be cool. I love Eric Bogosian. I really do. His career went nowhere. Look, not true. Eric Bogosian is a highly respected writer, and he's got a lot of scripts and a lot of screenplays that have been produced and turned into things, and he's successful in New York, and he walks around now as like a 70-year-old man in his leather jacket, still acting like he's a badass Anthony Bourdain knockoff. But he's great. He's truly a great one. Maybe he's just one of these guys who didn't want it. He didn't want to be Dustin Hoffman. He didn't want to be Al Pacino. He could have been. He's that talented. Eric Bogosian, happy birthday to him, born on this day in 1953. Every time I see him in something, I go, Eric's getting work. Good for him. Good, I love it. And he does sporadic stuff. Most notably, he was a regular character on Billions. If you watched Billions on Showtime, he played another billionaire that Bobby Axelrod tricked and got sent to prison. And then he was like a prison janitor, Eric Bogosian, and he was working with, look, I'm not going to go into the many plot lines of Billions. It's a good show, though. If you've never seen it, it's a great show. All right. Happy birthday, Eric Bogosian. Born on this day in 1964, birthday to Cedric the Entertainer. Don't like him. Never liked him. I'm put off by the name. I know you're an entertainer. Who are you for? Stupid people who don't know what they purchased a ticket to see? I'm purchasing this ticket to see an entertainer. And by the way, here's another thing. Are you a stand-up comic or are you an entertainer? Because I'm not going to go see somebody thinking they're a stand-up comic, knowing that they're going to be an entertainer. Are you going to tap dance? Are you going to spin plates? What the hell is going on, Cedric? Happy birthday, nonetheless, to Cedric the Entertainer. Born on this day in 1964. Born on this day in 1968. Here's another one of them dudes, a guy I like. Every time I see him in something, I go, yeah! Happy birthday, Aidan Gillen. Who's Aidan Gillen? Aidan Gillen's an Irish actor. He does a lot of Irish films. He does a lot of Irish independent films. He pops up in everything all the time. Now, how do we know him? Why am I even mentioning him? He was Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, man. The dude who ran the brothel, the dude who was always scheming, the working man. I loved the character of Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. Littlefinger had ascended to King's Landing's highest echelon of society. He's hanging out with the king and the queen, and that was Littlefinger. How did he do it? Because he ran a brothel. He was like the dude. He was sort of like, the guy in town that he's like the mafia boss who looks on the surface like he's completely legit. So he gets to, go to fundraisers for the mayor and stuff like that. That's who Littlefinger was in Game of Thrones. He was a gangster. He also would go on to have another incredibly great role in Peaky Blinders. If you were a fan of Peaky Blinders, you might know that Littlefinger from Game of Thrones went on to Peaky Blinders and then played the leader of a gang of Irish gypsies known as travelers, or known as Irish travelers. And he would go on to marry Aunt Polly, who we love from Game of Thrones. That's Aidan Gillen. Happy birthday. I love that dude. He's a good actor. I don't know if he's a good actor. The two characters that I've seen him do in mainstream stuff is good. I also saw him in a couple of Irish movies, but I didn't realize it was him till afterwards. When the credits go, and you go, wait a second, that was Littlefinger? And you're like, and then you say to yourself, I'm going to go back and watch that. And you never do. Born on this day in 1992. This will be the last one for birthdays today. Happy birthday to a clone of a clone. He's a clone of a clone. That's what he is. It's Jack Quaid's birthday. Jack Quaid is the star. He plays Huey in The Boys. If you're a fan, as I am, of Amazon Prime's The Boys series, he plays Huey. Huey's awesome. Huey is also the child of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. Huh? Yeah? Well, next time you look at him, you go, okay, I could see some Dennis Quaid. I don't see some. You know what he's got? He's got Quaidian features. Like he kind of looks like Dennis Quaid a little bit, or not so much Randy, but actually kind of like in the middle of Dennis Quaid and Randy. Because like Dennis Quaid is a good-looking Hollywood leading man. Then you got Jack Quaid, his son. Who's, kind of, he looks like his dad, but kind of a little bit odd. Not a leading man, not a good-looking leading man, right? He's the best friend. He's got more like best friend, next door neighbor, dork who rises up kind of vibes about his acting. So that's Jack. He's in the middle. Then you got Randy. Randy's like still looks like a Quaid, but Randy's all over the map. Randy, you know what's going on with him. Jack Quaid is a clone of a clone. His dad, of course, we've gone over this. Dennis Quaid is one of the clones that were produced by the Hollywood Clone Factory in the 1980s. They produced a line that are just interchangeable, whether it's a Patrick Swayze, of course, your Dennis Quaid, your Kurt Russell. Oh my God, there's any number of them. Those are the big three. Those are the big ones. If one was busy on a film, if you needed like a Kurt Russell type, you'd go, hey, what's Dennis Quaid doing, right? And you'd get him. Hey, what's Swayze? I can't get Quaid. What's going on with this Swayze kid? See, they're all clones. Well, Jack Quaid, the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid, he's a clone too. He's a clone. And guess what? You know the other okay, so this is like one of the most convoluted clone things because we know that Dennis Quaid and Kurt Russell are clones of each other. We also know that their chosen spouses in life, Goldie Hawn and Meg Ryan, are clones of each other. So what you have are two clones, Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid, and then two more clones, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. They're hooking up and they're having their own little clone babies. Well, that's what they'd have us believe. We know they came off an assembly line somewhere in the Hollywood Hills. There's an underground factory where they create all these people. Walk with me on this, folks. It'll make sense. Trust me. Come on, this is better than Q. This is better than Q because this is fun. Nobody gets hurt. So anyway, Meg Ryan and Kurt Russell, they had themselves a baby as well. They named it Wyatt Russell. Have you seen Wyatt Russell out there running around in the world now? Yeah. And then, of course, we know that Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid, they had Jack Quaid, our birthday boy today. So now you got they're running around and they are clones of each other. That's right. Here we are, second generation clones. You know what? I'd really like to cast that Wyatt Russell for this role. Wyatt's busy. Can I interest you in a Jack Quaid? Sign him up. So that's how this stuff happens. Happy birthday, Jack Quaid. All right, there you go. Those are the birthdays. Now let's do some dead folks. These are people who've died. These are people who've died. Folks who've passed away on this day. We're going to open up their life's resume and we're going to decide whether or not they went to heaven or hell. First of all, dead. And by the way, I have to say this is a very uninspiring list of dead people. This is, in fact, usually I shoot for 3. I'm like, can I just get 3 dead people that are worth talking about? Today, we didn't hit 3. We've only got 2. The first one being iconic American comedian Bud Abbott. Ladies and gentlemen, Bud Abbott, of course, one half of Abbott and Costello. He won the fat one. Look, I'm the bad guy. I'm not good to talk about Abbott and Costello. I was not a fan. I was just like, when I was a kid, like in the 70s, Abbott and Costello shorts were like on weekends on UHF channels all the time. And it was better than watching golf or whatever the hell else was on, 8 years old. I don't know, maybe Wide World of Sports was airing some kind of like Taiwanese stick fighting, right? So you go over and you get to the UHF and you're watching some Abbott and Costello. I would never loved it. I was always like, nah, not for me. And even in the group, he wasn't the funny one. The fat one's the funny one, right? Lou Costello. He was the one with like, all right, sorry, Bud Abbott, you're going to hell. You didn't stand out enough. I know you've got statues of you and people think you're important, but not so much to me. All right, Bud Abbott, we just sent him to hell. Dead on this day in 1975. This is one we'll spend a couple minutes on because we don't have any more. This is the last dead. Dead on this day in 1975, Pete Ham. Pete Ham, Welsh musician. Lead vocalist for Badfinger. No matter what you are, I will always be with you. My baby blue. Badfinger, y'all. Badfinger. By the way, wasn't that cool? That was cool when Badfinger got that nice little bump up with Breaking Bad. when they decided to end Breaking Bad with Badfinger's Baby Blue. Oh, so what's the story of Badfinger? Badfinger is a fascinating story, and it all sort of correlates around this date in 1975 when Pete Ham, the lead singer, chief songwriter, and guitarist of Badfinger, killed himself. He did. He committed suicide on this day in 1975. What was Badfinger? Badfinger was a club band. Badfinger was a bar band out of Swansea, I think. I think they were like Welsh. I think we already said that. But they were from Swansea, England. And they were just packing, rooms with their Beatle-esque sound. They were the closest thing at that point playing in the club circuit around, England, that people would go, well, you can't see the Beatles, but have you ever seen this band Badfinger? So the Beatles found out about them. And the Beatles weren't talking to each other at this point. John and Paul, and they were writing songs independently. And they were, by the way, they had just formed Apple Records, and they were a juggernaut, man. They were just being as prolific as any group of songwriters ever have been since the Brill Building in New York City in the 1960s. The Beatles were going nuts, and they were just creating too much content, too many songs. They couldn't record them all because they couldn't stand to be in the same room with each other more than 3 days a year. So, that's also one of the reasons why the Beatles started putting out solo albums, because they're like, well, the guys ain't going to get together and record this. So George Harrison puts out All Things Must Pass. That's what happened. So before they decided to go the solo album route, they decided they needed to have some vessel, some vehicle for all of these songs. So they went and Apple Records signed up Badfinger. Badfinger was brought into the Apple studios. They were fully produced by any Beatle member that was around there. Also, Todd Rundgren, it should be mentioned. Todd Rundgren, very early on in his career, was instrumental in the Apple Records studio with Badfinger. But it's mostly Paul McCartney and George Harrison and all this stuff. Badfinger they were given Beatles songs. They were given Beatles songs that would have been on Beatle albums. But the Beatles weren't recording at the time because they weren't talking because of Yoko or Linda or whatever the hell the problem was. So they just, like, Paul would walk in and he goes, man, this is a great song and I think it would be a number 1 hit for the Beatles, but we can't record it. Hey, Badfinger, you want this song? And then Badfinger records it. That's what Badfinger owed. Now, that's not everything, but certainly if you look at the discography of Badfinger, you'll see a number of, like, George Harrison and Paul McCartney, songs, or produced by either of those guys, which means that they had serious influence in the final product. So Badfinger as a band became very big on their own because of all of these songs. They were suddenly they're the new Beatles. And, behind the scenes, they're like, yeah, not so much the new Beatles, kind of the old Beatles. It's just, these are the ones that will talk together and will be in a recording studio together and actually put this stuff on wax. So when the Beatles finally broke up and Apple Music imploded because the Beatles individually owned Apple Music. And Apple Music was a very big and very successful record label at the time, but they didn't keep it going. They decided to divest. I think they sold it to, was it Alan Epstein or something? I don't know. They ended up selling it. Whatever ended up happening with Apple Records during the breakup of the Beatles affected Badfinger to the point where they were no longer even a band. It was like all the rights, all the intellectual property over who the name Badfinger, who owned it, all of that stuff went away. Badfinger realized that they were screwed, and Pete Ham killed himself. Yeah. Wait, why applause? No. So on this day, Pete Ham killed himself. Looking at what was happening with Apple Records in his band's career and the fact that maybe he thought that he was never actually a rock star, but he was always just a puppet of Paul McCartney or George Harrison. Where does he go? Look, I love Badfinger, and it doesn't matter who wrote the songs. Those songs are great. I'm putting Pete Ham, obviously a troubled man, I'm putting him in heaven. All right, that's it, folks. We did it. We made it through the first 3 quarters of this show. Once again, I'd like to remind you our executive producer on today's show is Tracy D. She dropped us a bomb yesterday. How do you get to be the executive producer of the show? Well, simply put, all you have to do is drop a little something, please. This show runs. We've been doing this every day, Monday through Friday, all the days, events, headlines, hot topics. Been doing this every day at noon since 2021, 2.5 going on 3 years now, entirely Run like a PBS pledge drive. That's right. If you folks want to keep this kind of talk radio going, non-divisive, non-political, don't care how you voted, you can drop a little something. And if you are the big tipper of the day, hell, if you're the only tipper of the day, I don't think we've got any tips today yet, you will be the executive producer of tomorrow's show. So there you go. Just going to leave that up in case you're so inclined. We'll do that for the rest of the show. All right, let's move into quarter four here. Quarter four is, of course, all the hot topics, current events, trends, what it is that people are talking about, the meat and potatoes of this very show. So let's jump right in. Trump trial, Trump trial, Trump trial, Trump trial, Trump trial. Now, we don't do politics on this show. I ain't doing no politics here. I don't give a shit, right? You love Trump? Really? You love Biden? Really? I mean, come on, shut up with that stuff. Let's just all stow it. I always say that one of the least admirable characteristics of the modern American human are these people that completely brand themselves by their politics. You know, these people who, like, you meet them out at a bar, they're the husband of a wife, someone you work with or whatever, and you're just meeting and you're having a beer and you're like, so what's happening with you? And like the first thing they say is something like, well, I'll tell you what, if we could get rid of this Biden, something like that. It's like, no, shut up. Shut up. Stop it, man. Politics, your personal politics, your ideology, your worldview. We need to start keeping that secret again the way it was when I was a kid. I had no idea what the people I listened to on the radio, how they felt and how they were going to vote. Nobody cared. It wasn't a big deal. We went in. There's a curtain for a reason. You draw that curtain. You go into privacy. You seek your inner voice. You look into your soul, and that's how you cast your vote. You don't show up to Thanksgiving dinner at the new in-laws wearing your MAGA hat. You're just looking for trouble. So we're going to talk about Trump, which is something that we don't do a lot. We don't. We avoid it. You know me. I don't care. Some of you guys like him. Some of you guys don't. I just assume not stoke that fire. I am firmly on record as believing that he is one of the most entertaining individuals in the world today. I find him very entertaining. I find him hysterical. And as I like to say, whether or not I find him hysterical because he's intentionally trying to be hysterical, or I find him hysterical because he's just a silly person, that's my business. That's none of your business. But needless to say, I find him hysterical. And this Trump trial is awesome. Okay, first of all, the falling asleep thing, that is so baller. That is baller. He keeps falling asleep, and now it's a bit. Every day, he'll give the assembled press their moment where he puts his head down and closes his eyes because he knows they're going to run with it. The contempt that he's showing. He's just a rich guy going, why are the laws apply to me? There's a whole lot of that going on. It's very entertaining to see. My favorite thing from yesterday's trial coverage was after the trial when he marched out in front of a throng of probably 500 media, all with 500 cameras and microphones shoved in his face. And he got up there and he said, they won't let me talk. Everything I say is being censored. And I'm like, dude, you're on live TV right now saying whatever you want. You're not being censored. You big baby. You big pearl clutching snowflake. It's funny. He's hysterical. David Pecker, he's the guy who runs National Enquirer, or used to. He was forced. He got caught dead to rights. David Pecker, a buddy, one of the Mar-a-Lago mafia, if you will, in President Trump's running crew. David Pecker ran AMI Media, National Enquirer, a bunch of tabloids. He was a publisher. He ran a bunch of them. He's buddies with Trump. And, David Pecker's kind of a shady businessman to some degree, and he got himself a little sideways with the Justice Department, and the Justice Department dropped the hammer on him and was like, dude, you're looking at some rough stuff. But we got a couple questions that you might be able. So he is working. David Pecker, Trump's former best friend and publisher of the National Enquirer, has been working with the Justice Department for a while, and he's telling stories about catch and kill, which this is not the first time that we've heard the phrase catch and kill. This was the book by Ronan Farrow from a couple of years ago that basically shined a light on the duplicitous nature of America's media and how willing they are, if they think power is to be had or that money's to be made, they're willing to basically just completely sell us out in the trust that we put in the media. National Enquirer, I know not considered a mainstream media platform, but certainly an influential one. And David Packer willingly and admittingly is now saying, yeah, when Trump ran for president, when he announced, he came to me and he said, look, let's work out a deal where you will actively seek stories about me, bad stories about me. Your Karen McDougal stories, who's going to be testifying today, your Stormy Daniels stories, all the, you're going to go out as the National Enquirer and you're going to offer money to people who have these really bad stories about me. And you're going to buy these stories from these people, and then you're going to sign non-disclosures with them, which means that you own the stories outright, and they can't even tell the story anymore. And then what you're going to do, my good friend David Packer, who runs the National Enquirer, you're not going to publish those stories. You're going to kill them. That's catch and kill. You're going to catch them. You're going to pay for them. You're going to kill them. And then at the end of all this, and this is one of the funniest little nuggets from the story, at the end of all of this, we'll have a tally of what you paid these people, and then we'll make good for you. Well, Trump's got so much, he'll make it. Hey, well, he didn't pay him. He didn't pay him. He never got around to paying for the move. And there were more than just the Karen McDougal and the Stormy Daniels. Then maybe none that rose to that level of, ooh, like there's some good details. There's some good details. For instance, one of the fun things last night, do you remember when the 2016 presidential campaign, I think this is back still in the primaries, when Ted Cruz, who now just bends it and spreads them for Trump whenever he wants. I mean, not a good representation for Texas, man. I'm telling you. Ted Cruz, remember, he got completely bent over by Trump. Trump was standing, was Trump standing on stage with Ted Cruz when he said that your wife's ugly? And I know he didn't come out and say his wife's ugly, but he basically was like, you got an ugly wife. Ted Cruz was like, well, she's certainly not as pretty as you, Mr. President. You know, it was like that. It was something really weird. Anyway, but back during the 2016 election, one of the stories that came out, and we all talked about it. I remember talking about it. We talked about the Ted Cruz's dad helped Lee Harvey Oswald's story. Do you remember that? And everybody's like, Ted Cruz's dad was friends with Lee Harvey. Ted Cruz's dad killed Kennedy. I mean, by the time the echo chamber of the internet got done with it, that's what it was. Ted Cruz was involved in the murder of JFK because a story in the National Enquirer. And because it got picked up. Well, we learned yesterday that it was completely made up. It was a totally made up story. But it damaged Ted Cruz. Yeah, dirty pool. Dirty pool. It's another thing I like about Trump. He doesn't care. He can try and win. It's like I'm watching the O.J. Simpson, Ryan Murphy. You know, remember the one where David Schwimmer played the Kardashian dad and Cuba Goodings Jr. played O.J. There's a scene between the guy who's playing Johnny Cochran and the guy who's playing Chris Darden. Of course, Chris Darden was a member of the prosecution. Johnny Cochran, lead counsel for O.J. Simpson. There's a conversation where Johnny Cochran goes racial in court against Chris Darden, and he's basically acting like Chris Darden has offended all black people in America, blah, blah, blah. Next day, they're in the hallway, and Chris Darden calls Johnny Cochran over, and he says, look, I don't care if we're friends outside of here. And they were like going way back. Like Johnny Cochran was like Chris Darden's mentor. So I don't care what we're friends here. What you did when you went racial on me like that, that's not what I meant. You took it too far. And I'm not gonna stand for that level of disrespect. And Johnny Cochran responded to Chris Darden, oh, brother, I'm not here to earn your respect. I'm here to win. Well, that's a very Trump attitude. And on some level, as a man who's been in a knife fight a time or two, I do kind of appreciate it. So that was the fun stuff with David Packer. There was a lot of stuff. Today, what we're looking forward to is this McDougal girl. Now, this isn't the Stormy Daniels. Yeah, there's a difference here as I go into my Chicago accent. Stormy Daniels was a, how do you say this? Porn star, a hit it and quit it gal. There was like absolutely no interest on the part of Trump to have an ongoing relationship with Stormy Daniels. None. He was at a golf outing. He doesn't drink, but he was at a golf outing. Everybody was drinking, probably having some fun. He saw this porn star. We don't even know she was a porn star, but don't get it twisted, ladies. You send your husband to these fancy upper echelon golf outings. The ones that are frequented by who I like to refer to as steakhouse storytellers. The guys that spend every night in a steakhouse with a scotch and they're telling stories about the glory days. These kinds of golf outings always have porn stars. always have porn stars, always have prostitutes, always have strippers. Always. Wives, just so you know. I don't golf. I don't worry about it. I hate those things. But this is what happens. So Trump's there with the big shooters at the steakhouse storyteller convention or whatever it is, golf outing, and he's a little horny. What's he gonna do? He's gonna go back up to his room, go to sleep like a non-Trump, like a normal person. No, he sees a hot blonde and he's like, yeah, and he hits on her. It's a hit it and quit it. He takes her up there, he bangs her, blah, blah, blah. We all know what happened next. The McDougal chick is different, and she's going to get on stand and she's going to talk today. Why is she different? Because Trump liked her. Because she has testified previously and she has written about the fact that Trump wanted to have a baby with her. She's not a porn star. She's a Playboy model, but apparently in Trump's mind, that's different and that's fine. One is acceptable in the social circles of New York City. One is probably not. I'm guessing Stormy Daniels would have been the subject of much derision should he walk into the Met Gala with her, but maybe not this Karen McDougal chick. So she's going to get up and she is going to talk about how he was in love with her and how she had to, and how it became more of like a different situation that Stormy Daniels. And by the way, one that we haven't really heard as publicly as the Stormy Daniels stuff, simply because Stormy Daniels is a porn star and the news media is really going to lean into that aspect of it. We're going to talk about the one who's the porn star now, right? A porn star. Stay tuned. Here's a commercial for Carnival Cruise Lines. Disingenuous media, folks. It's all around us. What else do we have? Why can't we have cameras? Why can't we be watching this? I told you, since OJ Simpson died, I went back and I started watching all the OJ Simpson stuff. I've watched the Made in America docuseries that was created by ESPN. That was fantastic. And I rolled right into the dramatized American Crime Story, 8 episodes. Again, this is the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. is playing, OJ, and David Schwimmer is Robert Kardashian. Connie Britton is Faye Resnick. Oh, it's fun. Sarah Paulson is Marsha Clark. It's fun. It's fun. So I'm getting into all of this OJ stuff. And why isn't this Trump trial on TV? What? Come on, New York. Get your shit together. This would be amazing. Do you know how much better these live streams today would be if we could just be watching the Trump trial and just eating our popcorn? All right, moving on. Another big story happening today. The Supreme Court is in the news. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments on the laws pertaining to emergency abortion care. Now, I'm not entirely sure. This was happening earlier this morning, and I went on and started, compiling other pieces of news. So I don't know if the Supreme Court has weighed in at all. I can't imagine that they would if they were just hearing arguments this morning. But here's the story. The Supreme Court wrestles with abortion clash over emergency room treatment for pregnant women. Here's what it says. The Supreme Court today appeared divided as it grappled with whether provisions of Idaho's near total abortion ban unlawfully conflict with a federal law that is aimed at ensuring certain standards for emergency medical care for patients, including pregnant women. So basically what's going on is, Idaho's got the law where it's like, no abortion under any curse, but we have a federal law that says, well, abortion is perfectly legal if it means, this woman is about to die and she's been rushed to the emergency room. So where do those two issues intersect? That's what the Supreme Court has to weigh today. What's more important? A federal law governing the treatment of pregnant women who are rushed to the emergency room. And in the course of this treatment, as considered by doctors, sometimes the baby will have to be aborted. Who knows what's happening, right? Who knows what's going on? But there are instances that we as normal people cannot possibly consider that may be happening here. So that's what the federal law is to ensure. Idaho, it's just no abortions ever. Never. Nope. So it's complicated. I don't like to talk about the abortion issue. And I don't like to talk about the abortion issue because I'm hesitant to weigh in on something that's so politically charged. That's not it. I've always been pretty consistent on this. I don't like to talk about the abortion issue because I honestly don't think it's anything a man should be worried about or talking about or offering their opinion on. This does exclusively to me seem to be a woman that the ladies of this country need to get together. I don't care, red ladies, blue ladies, MAGA hat ladies, Biden, Black Lives Matter ladies. It doesn't matter. I want you guys to all get together and you hash this out amongst yourselves. You don't need a bunch of dudes going, well, here's what I think a woman should do with her body, because you see, that is the linchpin to my belief system, that it is a female health issue. I know, existentially speaking, that we're both pregnant, but no, we're not both pregnant. The men had the easy part. Now, the 20 or 18 years that follow the birth of the child, you can say that it's time for dad to step up, sure. But let's not kid ourselves. For those 9 months, this is a female medical thing. It is the women who wake up feeling this way. It is the women who can't move. It is the women who are endangered because there is a new alien species sprouting up from inside their loins. I hope to God you don't think that's political. I hope to God you don't think that's divisive. That's just me as a dude going, man, if I had something growing in me, I sure would like to be able to go to a doctor and then make a decision about what the hell this thing is and what we should do next. Autonomy over one's own body is the very essence of freedom. That's what it is. We talk about freedom in these grand ideas. Freedom to open a business in a company or a state that doesn't allow these. That's not freedom. You know what freedom is? Freedom is when you're chained to a wall. You're a slave. You can't move your hands. Freedom is getting free of those chains at its very molecular level. Let's talk about that. That's what this is. This is a woman with something going on in her woman's body. She should have the freedom to be able to decide what happens next with her body. That's why I think men shouldn't have any opinion, shouldn't offer. Women want to come to a guy and go, hey, what do you think of the whole abortion thing? You should just be like, yeah, I don't, whatever. Drafts tomorrow night. I want to talk draft. Anybody want to talk NFL draft? Stay out of it, man. Because we would demand it if it was the other way around. If this was a guy thing, if it was like, if we could grow children out of our testicles, I promise you there would be no issue with, Bob, he's got a big business deal next month. He doesn't have time to be growing a kid out of his testicles. Anyway, liberal members of the court appeared to back the White House's position. The White House's position is that the federal law should override the Idaho law. The justices are weighing an appeal brought by Idaho officials who are contesting a lawsuit filed by the Biden administration over abortion access in emergency room situations. All right, so we will see exactly what the Supreme Court says about that. I'll probably have an update for you tomorrow. Last night, it happened late at night. Oh my God, folks, sometimes it's a joy to be able to say that we have at least the rudimentary semblance of a working representative democracy. We have a government. They did now, they may have done everything in 3 hours last night that they should have been doing all year long, but whatever, beggars can't be choosers, and we are decidedly beggars doing anything. They did a lot last night. A lot of stuff got done last night, especially this Ukraine, Israeli, and Taiwan aid package. Now, I told you about this. This has been so weirdly politicized, and I don't think that the people who are out there going, I want to fund Israel, but I don't want to fund Ukraine. I don't think you people really understand how tied together these two funding packages are. We are trying to keep Russia occupied, okay? Can I just put it to you this way? We are trying, as a peace-loving Western power, we are trying to keep Russia occupied. And Russia is kind of, at this point in the Ukraine incursion, having their way with Ukraine. Ukraine needs help. So what if Ukraine doesn't get the help? They did, by the way, Senate, I should say, the Senate passed the aid package to Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel. If Russia is no longer occupied in a fist fight with the Ukraine, at what point does Russia then go to Iran, who, by the way, here's another thing people don't seem to understand. See the Iran-Israeli situation that we have right now, right? So that's the part of the Israeli package. We're sending money to Israel so that they can keep up this fight with Iran, or so that they can defend themselves against, this becoming a wider war in the region, which is the great fear. What might lead it to become a wider war? Well, should Russia decide to join Iran. Now, why would Russia join Iran? Why? They're not even that close of friends. You guys, do you understand that just about every missile, every bomb, every drone that Russia has used in the last 9 months of their war against the Ukraine has been provided to Russia by Iran? Iran has been fueling the Russian military complex, I don't know, for about 9 months. Russia never expected this war to go that long. Russia thought, we all thought, this Ukraine-Russia war would be over in a week and Russia would now own Ukraine. Okay, we'll go on from there. But that ain't what happened. Russia got themselves in a Vietnam situation again. And Iran has been the one country that has stepped up and been giving Russia whatever they want. So what happens when Russia finally beats the Ukraine and Iran is just getting ramped up to go after Israel? Do you think there's a chance Iran might go, hey, remember 6 months ago when we helped you beat Ukraine? Come on. So that's the great fear. That's the realistic fear of how what's going on right now with Israel and its neighbors can turn into a massive end of the world scenario. So we got to keep fucking Russia occupied, guys. We got to keep Russia. I don't look. Burisma, the Hunter Biden. I don't know about all this stuff. I don't. I just know that Russia is the bad guy. It's been the bad guy my whole life. Putin is a bad guy. There's endless examples of his bad guy nature. And we also know that now Putin is beholden to Iran. So come on, man. Stop it. Just, I know you don't like Zelensky for whatever reason. I guess maybe Jesse Waters told you he's a bad guy. I don't know anything about him. He's the leader of Ukraine. I shouldn't know anything about him. Anything you know about him has been delivered to you by somebody with an agenda who wanted you to think one way or another about him. You didn't independently just research the president of Ukraine a week before the Russia invasion. You didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. So stop it with that stuff. The fact of the matter is we got to keep Russia occupied because we're trying to stop a nuclear war from starting in the Middle East. That's the great fear. So anyway, the Senate, who understands this, thankfully, the upper house is always just a little bit more thoughtful than the lower house, Congress. These people are just, oh my God. Congress is the legislative embodiment of a late night parking lot fist fight, in a dance club or a speedway, if you will. There is nothing redeemable going on in Congress, and there's very little redeemable going on in the Senate as well. But at least the Senate, there's fewer of them. They like to pretend they're a little bit more serious. It's a cooler job being a senator. So how did our Texas senators go off on all this, right? We got Cornyn, we got Cruz. Well, Cornyn, who probably, I don't know how much I agree with Cornyn or not. I don't know. He's just a dude. He's always been there. Cornyn voted for it. Cruz, of course, did not vote for it because Ukraine and Zelensky and Burmista or whatever, Hunter Biden, all that nonsense. But see, Cruz is a very smart man. He's not principled at all. Remember Trump called his wife ugly and he's like, yeah, you're right, sir. I mean, come on. He's representing Texans. I do not know a native-born Texan who would allow somebody to tell them that their wife is ugly so publicly. Make fun of the looks of your wife. I don't know one single goddamn Texan that wouldn't bow up to that guy and go, hey, all kidding aside, motherfucker. You want to take that back and then we'll go back to running this presidential election? You want to take that back? Ted Cruz didn't do that. Ted Cruz is now the biggest supplicant of everything that guy says. Same with Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham. Remember when he gave out Lindsey Graham's phone number? He's so awesome. Trump is hysterical. He gave out Lindsey Graham's phone number. All these guys, they're not men. They're not real men. You don't cross that line. You don't call my wife ugly. I will punch you in the fucking face. Anyway, Ted Cruz, he said it was the toughest decision of my life. Why? Because he knows what the right thing to do is. But he also knows that he's got to continue to pander to a group of people that may or may not reelect him, who, are all about the Burisma and all this stuff that is just clouding our otherwise normal people judgment. All of this stuff. So that's how the Texas senators voted for it. But there you go. It was passed through aid packages for Taiwan. We got to keep China occupied over there. So we got that for Taiwan, an aid package for Israel, and an aid package for Ukraine. There we go. Still don't have school lunches, and poor people with chest pains, they don't have much of a recourse here, but whatever, we're sending all this money. I understand why. It's the bed we've made. We can't just suddenly stop being the world's policeman. Well, I don't want to be the world's policeman. Well, neither do I. But here we are. The world's largest defense budget, a military that is 1 billion times bigger than the next biggest man. That's us. That's us. That's where we spend our money. So what are we supposed to do now? Now, when it comes time to actually, I don't know. That's the question. All right, moving on. TikTok. Also, they got involved yesterday. TikTok's gone. See it, TikTok? TikTok, tickety tock tock. It's not really gone. It's not really gone. I don't know. Is TikTok? Hold on. Let me look at my TikTok. Let me see. Is TikTok still working? I haven't been on TikTok since they voted to get rid of it.
I'm the queen. I'm very good at talking. I like to talk very a lot. I don't like the other king. He wants me out of the castle because I fight him.
All right. All right. Yeah, I don't need to explain. Well, actually, I do need to explain that. Hold on. It's one of my favorite things on TikTok. I love it. People doing scenes from movies in their kitchens or whatever. I just love it. It's really funny, and it's one of the things that I find so absurdly addicting about TikTok. That's my problem with TikTok. I'll tell you, my problem with TikTok is that it's so damn addictive. You get to tell me, come on, man. TikTok is damn addictive, man. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll go to the bathroom. I'll be in there for 40 minutes. My whole bottom half falls asleep. I can't walk back to the bed because my legs are completely asleep, all tingly and TikTok is crazy. TikTok does something to my brain. I want to look, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? It's insidious. Of course, that's not the reason it's banned. That's not the reason it's banned. It's banned because people are afraid that China is going to get our what? Our email passwords? I don't know. Again, not smart enough to fully understand it. But I do understand that the greater issue, as far as I'm concerned with when it comes to TikTok, is that it is so damn addictive. It is the most addictive of all the social media platforms. I mean, I can find myself on Twitter, but at some point after like 20 minutes or 30 minutes on Twitter, I'm like, yeah, okay, everybody's saying the same thing. That ain't the case with TikTok. TikTok, it's, cute little dog video that's only 7 seconds. Boom, swipe to the next. It's like that late. Let's see what else. Here, I'll give me another example. Just, and there's no commitment to it. It's not like, all right, I'm going to watch this and it's how long is this? It's 3 minutes. No, that's not what TikTok's about. TikTok's about giving you just a little bit of a burst. Little bit of a burst. I don't know what this is.
You think that politics is spiritual stuff. Politics is of this world.
See, I don't know what that guy's doing.
The hydraulic system, sir, because they didn't make sure.
I don't know. Anyway, the point is this. I love TikTok, much the same way I loved cocaine. I completely understand. I always tell that story because that's how I relate to it. Like, I've done look, I'm a guy of a certain age. I've done everything. I've tried everything. Like, you want to try this? Yeah, I'll try that. There was a period of time, a couple of months, where I was dating somebody and hanging out with a different group of people where first time I ever tried cocaine. And it was a very social thing. And it was like, yeah, I'll try it again. We're going out Saturday. Like, you want to do some cocaine? Yeah, I want to do some cocaine. And I don't know, after about the third or fourth time of doing it, I'm like, hey, you guys, does everybody else like cocaine as much as me? I mean, this is really good. This is like the craziest, most awesome, inspiring, confidence-inducing high that I've ever had. I feel like, honestly, I could do anything right now. And I had that realization. And I was smart enough to go. My second thought after that was, well, I guess I'm never doing cocaine again because I know what kind of person I am. And I could become a cocaine addict like that. So I stopped. And I always relate that. I haven't really had that sensation with anything since experiencing TikTok. I mean, TikTok is like, this is like cocaine. So anyway, it's gone. It's gone because, or the Congress I'm going to read it to you because I think this might be important stuff. But look, the bottom line is this is very performative. Congress does a lot of this. They do things and they decide things, and this is how it's got to be. And a group of special interests will go, oh, wonderful, wonderful. They did it for us. They did it for us. And then they move on to the next thing. TikTok ain't going anywhere. I said this to E yesterday. I go, hey, did you hear they just banned TikTok? And he goes, oh, does it still work? And I'm like, I mean, that should, right? It shouldn't. Like, that should be the thing. It's like Congress, or Senate, they pass the bill, they ban it. And I would think within relative short order, it would no, that's not the case. It's going to be around forever. Senate passes, and I'll explain why. Senate passes bill forcing TikTok's parent company to sell or face ban. It's been sent to the president. The president signed this morning. This is a part of the aid package. It was snuck right there into the whole Taiwan, Israel, Ukraine aid package. This was what do they call it? Pork? Anyway, it was snuck in on that bill, and that's how it went through. The Senate passed legislation Tuesday night that would force TikTok's China-based parent company to sell the social media platform under the threat of a ban. A contentious move by U.S. lawmakers that is expected to face legal challenges and disrupt the lives of content creators who rely on the short-form video app for income. I'm not good enough to rely on it for income or anything like that, but I do enjoy it. It's nothing better. You're on the toilet. What are you going to do? You can bring a Life magazine in there. You're going to get yourself a Sports Illustrated. Good luck finding hard copies of those things. Drag TikTok in there. It's better. Trust me, it's better. 1 minute you'll be watching, a dog do something really cute. And then the next minute you'll be listening to air traffic control guys talking to a pilot who's about to crash. And then the next one will be some girl ranting about a dude she just went on a date. It's TikTok, man. You never know what's coming around the corner, and you're always thirsty for what's next. It's addictive. Let's see. The TikTok legislation was included as part of a larger $95 billion aid package that provides assistance to the Ukraine and Israel and was passed 79-18. A decision made by House Republicans last week to attach the TikTok bill to the high priority aid package helped expedite its passage in Congress and came after negotiations with the Senate, where an earlier version of the bill had stalled. That version had given TikTok's parent company ByteDance 6 months to divest its stakes in the platform. But it drew skepticism from some key lawmakers concerned it was too short, not too long, too short. So remember, the original TikTok bill was sent to the Senate, and they were like, okay, here's the deal. This is the bill. You sign it, it becomes law. TikTok has 6 months. They can stick around for 6 months, but they are on a timer. They are on the clock, as we say here in draft season. They have 6 months to find somebody, an American company preferably, who's going to come in and take over. If they don't do it in 6 months, it's going dark, baby. Okay, so that's, I guess that's reasonable. But it went to the Senate, and the Senate was like, that's not long enough. We need to give them more time. Why do you think they need more time? So you say this to a senator who just the night before had dinner with a bunch of Chinese businessmen at the Washington store, whatever. More time. They need more time. So that's when I think they pumped it up to 9 months. I think the new thing is in this bill that TikTok will have 9 months to divest. ByteDance, the parent company, will have 9 months to divest themselves of all interest in TikTok, at least whatever this American version is. And if at the end of 9 months, if they do not have a deal, but they're close to maybe finding somebody, then they will get an extension of another 6 months. So it's kind of like a year and a half before anything's going to go dark. And you can best believe that there are going to be high-level negotiations between the Chinese government and the United States and all that stuff. Things, TikTok ain't going anywhere. And look what happened. All of the congressmen and all of the senators who went to their pancake breakfast back in their home districts or in their states and answered questions from pearl-clutching Karens about the undue influence of TikTok on today's youth. All of these guys can now go back and go, we got rid of TikTok. Look what I did. I'm one of them guys. See, I do what you people want. Even though it's not gone. It's not gone. It's not going anywhere. But publicly, they can do a little bit of an end zone dance. That's politics. That is apex politics. All right. TikTok, not going anywhere. Yet at the same time, it's been deemed illegal by the United States Congress. Well, with that, I got another year and a half to, you know how that goes. All right, now here's a story that I want to talk about because this is huge. This is amazing. I had to double and triple check this story when it broke yesterday. When this story broke yesterday, come on, pull something on the TV there. When this story broke yesterday, honestly, I was like, no. You all know that I hate rich people, which is interesting because I live here in Highland Park and I'm surrounded by the super 1% class at every turn. I don't hate all rich people. I don't hate my boys who came up from the working class and achieved something and built something, and now they're enjoying the spoils of that life of hard work and dedication and innovation. Those people, them's my people. I have no issue with them. You know, I got an issue with, I got an issue with, fifth generation Crenshaw Waldorf Armstrong the third, who's, deciding that, he's going to take his granddad's seat on the Trilateral Commission. Those are the rich people I got a problem with. Don't have a problem. What are you, a communist? Fuck you. I'm not a communist. I grew up in the Cold War. That's my D, you jerk. Communist. Those aren't the two choices, okay? Carry the water for Thurston Howell or be a communist. Those aren't the only two choices. Maybe in stupid land they are, but not in the world we all exist in, which interestingly enough is wildly stupid. The working class won a major victory yesterday. Blue-collar America, the regular man, middle America, Main Street, if you will, made progress in a way that we haven't made in 100 years of labor reform. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, voted yesterday to ban non-compete agreements. Holy shit. Now, non-competes are everywhere. I know they are most famously and I think most commonly understood to be things that your favorite radio or TV personality must abide by when they get fired or they leave a job. But it's also far more common in the corporate world, where a non-compete simply says that if you leave your job or if you're fired or whatever, you can't go to work for anybody else that does the same thing for a period of, in radio, it's often 9 months. In business, I think sometimes it's a year. So think about that. You decide that you don't want to work for this company anymore. This company sucks. I have had it with you people, okay? I'm the best widget designer in the business, and I can't suffer you fools any longer. I'm going to leave this widget manufacturing company. That guy can't go get another job at another widget manufacturing company, no matter how in demand he is, no matter how good he is at his job. He is stopped from making a living simply because he doesn't want to work for these assholes anymore. The assholes, and this is earlier today when I was talking about how we Americans have an ability to just accept anything as long as it's normalized. The concept of keeping somebody beholden to you for 6 months after they tell you to fuck off. I ain't working here anymore if I fuck off. The concept that there is a law that says, okay, you don't like your situation, you've got a better opportunity, but we're not going to let you take that better opportunity. And our government, our laws were all in this regard designed to protect the boss, to protect the corporation. No regard at all for the individual, the working man who now has to, drive Uber for 6 months while he waits out a non-compete so that he can go and resume his career. Such a fucking crazy concept. And people were just like, that's what it is though. And like for years, I've been saying, people have been saying, other people have been saying, but for the most part, we're all just, that's how it is. Cause it's normal. Cause we just accept it. We just accept shit because it's normal. That is not a reasonable proposition on any level. What we accepted in the world of non-competes for 50 years, not acceptable on any level. It's like, why is this so heavily favoring the bosses and the management and the corporations and completely hamstringing the actual working man? You know, the backbone of America. Why are we actively making a law that fucks over the working man so that they can't have a better life? Why? Because the boss is like, I'm going to show him, I'm going to enforce the non-compete. Well, that was thrown out yesterday by the FCC. The FTC. I'm sorry, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And thankfully, I want to share something with you here. I thought this was so funny. When the news broke, I was reading a whole bunch of stories about it just to make sure that it was real, because I honestly could not believe that a government agency, the FTC, would do something so obnoxiously in the favor of the working man, as the FTC did yesterday. You are used to these organizations to just be a bureaucratic mess that is completely bought and paid for by the corporate interests of this world. That's what we expected. I knew that there were all these things the FTC was looking at non-competes. This has been going on for a long time. I never in a million years thought that they would side with we the people, the regular man, the working man, give us a little help. Thought there was no way possible that was going to happen. And that's what happened yesterday, the FTC. So I want to not play this, but I want to read this to you. This was from someone in the UK. So this is somebody that I follow on Twitter who's from the UK, United Kingdom, England. And this is an example of how we'll just accept things as normal. Just if someone goes, no, that's normal. Wait, this doesn't seem normal. Is it normal? No, it's totally normal. You're going to think it's normal. Okay, guess it's normal. It just shows how we're so easily programmed to accept things that are obviously and wildly unfair and stupid. But whatever, go along to get along. So this is somebody from the UK. Reacting to this breaking news from last night that the FTC has just banned non-compete agreements. This guy from the UK says, what the hell even is this? You guys weren't allowed to leave a company for a competitor? What the fuck? That is utterly insane. If someone wants to pay me more because I'm shit hot at my job and you're not appreciating it, you can match them to keep me, or I'm going to go take the better job offer. How is that not allowed in the United States? When you put it like that, he's like, yeah, wait a second. But no, we were all just like, oh yeah, non-competes. Yeah, I've got to protect the intellectual property of the bosses. Yeah. Fuck. All right, score one for the working man. That's really great. And by the way, it also should be known that anybody who right now, this is how the FTC works. Anybody right now who is actively sitting out a non-compete, nope, go ahead, take a job. If you were, I think most notably of Jake and Dan, right? What are they? Oh, I don't want to call them bad radio. I'm so bad with these names. Jake and Dan, formerly of The Ticket. They're over there doing internet stuff. Because when they left The Ticket, they were being held to a non-compete. They probably could have jumped across the street the day after they left The Ticket. The day after they left The Ticket, they probably, if they wanted, could have been on 105.3 The Fan. But the day they left The Ticket, 3, 4, 5 months ago, whatever it was, the day they left The Ticket, they had a non-compete. So they just got to sit there and wait. Well, guess what? Happy day. No. Happy day. They don't have a non-compete anymore. They can go anywhere they want. But see, here's the problem, and this is the other insidious nature of a non-compete. What happens here is, and Kelly and I went through this when we left Cumulus here in town. But the insidious nature of the non-compete is that it isn't truly for the protection of the corporation. It is to be punitive against the person who's leaving. Because especially when you're talking about media, let's just keep it to radio and TV at the local level, because this is where we often hear the word non-compete used so publicly. When you get fired for something, when you do something wrong as a member of the media, whether it's a radio show host or a news person, there's a degree of heat around you, and there's a lot of interest. A radio station that blows out their number one morning man, right? Because, well, they said titty on the air or something. Whatever the reason is that they got to get rid of him, it's maybe a reason they wouldn't normally want to get rid of him because he's the number one morning man, but they got to get rid of him. The reason they were indemnified as a corporation a little bit was because they knew in their back pocket they could keep him off the air for 9 months. So, yes, they would be losing their morning show, but it's not like somebody else could grab him. That goes away. But the insidious nature of it all is that if you have to wait 9 months, you're not nearly as hot as you were in the days or the weeks following your exit from your longtime show. Not nearly as interested. People forget, they go on. 9 months. That's always, I've looked at that industry standard in radio, 9 months, and I go, that's just long enough to cool a career. That is just long enough to have you go from the hot topic on local Twitter to being somebody that's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. And that's the insidious nature of the non-compete, and they don't exist anymore. And thank you to the FTC. Screw you. Bad news for the man. That's right. Let's see. What else do we have here? What else is happening in the world? Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. I just went nuts on the non-compete thing. All right, let's do a new segment that we do every day here on the show. We like to call it Today in Rich People. Today in Rich People. Every day I try to bring you a story from the world of the rich, a world that I exist in Monday through Friday right here, beautiful Highland Park Studios. Hate the rich. Hate the rich. I like rich dudes. I like successful rich dudes. I hate the rich. I hate people. I'm wealthy. I am the landed gentry. So every day we try and give you a story from the perspective of the wealthy. Oftentimes it's stories about another wealthy dude buying a 15th yacht. Or maybe it's a story about some corporation you know and hate posting record earnings for this year while the rest of us pay, what are we up to? $1.50? $1.50 for a generic bottle of Coke Zero at the Kroger. $1.50 now. It used to be 75. Dollar Tree stores. Everything used to be $1. Now it's $1.50. Inflation has only gone up about 11%, but they're charging 50 cents more. Why? Because it's a 3-card money game. Everything is a 3-card money game aimed at taking us, the middle class. We're the ones being took. So what we do every day is we talk a little bit about something a rich guy has got going on in his world and what he has to say. And today in Rich People, have no fear, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says the economy is booming. He personally hasn't had a better year since he entered the business world. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon would like us all to stop complaining and pearl clutching about the price of gas or about the price of the Dollar Tree or whatever, because he wants us all to know that the U.S. economy is booming. Fuck you, dude. Booming. Really? Holy shit. Again, we go on, we do this, we mention this every day in my Rich People segment. Your mom and dad, they're trying to move to Florida. They're trying to sell their house in Richardson. It's been on the market now for a year. Nobody is buying your mom and dad's home, your childhood home. They're not buying it. Your mom and dad are sitting on something that's worth their retirement nest egg, but they can't get at it because for us regular people, interest rates are just way too high. Way too high. Nobody, the real estate market for normal people, which is, again, just a terrible situation because what do normal people have most of their wealth tied up in? Their real estate, whether it's their home or whatever it is. Our shit ain't selling because the people who are going to buy our shit can't show up with a duffel bag filled with $100 bills and buy it in cash. Rich people, oh my God. The rich people neighborhoods, all the houses are for sale because rich people are like, another rich person's going to buy this and they're not going to need the finance. They're just going to give us cash. Rich people real estate market, booming. Regular middle class real estate market, the portion of the real estate market in this country that actually churns the gears of the middle class. Oh yeah, that's fucked up. But Jamie Dimon would like us all to know that the economy is booming. That's Today in Rich People. Today in Rich People. I'm telling you, man. I want to start a flaming tiki torch and pitchfork concession. Let's all get together, folks. Let's take to the streets. Today in Rich People. Okay, so here's something. Let's Jerry Seinfeld was going around. You see this Jerry Seinfeld story? Hold on, I need a drink. I need a drink of super expensive Coke Zero. It's not. See, I'm a broke ass middle class working man. It's not even Coke Zero. I call it Coke Zero because I'm a poser. That's generic Kroger 0-calorie cola. And it's now $1.50. It used to be like 79 cents a year ago. Thanks, Obama. Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld's talking shit about movies. Did you see this story going on? Jerry Seinfeld's got a new movie. It looks pretty interesting. I want to see this. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about cereal. No, Pop-Tarts. Yes. Jerry Seinfeld made an entire movie about the history of Pop-Tarts. All right, I'm good with that. That's fine. That sounds interesting. It's got a nice all-star cast. There's a lot of very funny people making cameos and playing different roles. I'm all for it. But Jerry Seinfeld, in promoting this movie, which I can't even promote properly because I don't know what it's called. It's the Pop-Tart movie that Seinfeld made. He's giving interviews. He's promoting it, and he's talking about why he wanted the film to debut on Netflix, and then he went into a whole thing about how film is dead. Film is dead. You can't do films. Theaters are dead. That's not how films work anymore. Blah blah blah. And it was interesting to me because does Jerry Seinfeld think that his movie about Pop-Tarts was actually going to get a wide theatrical release at some point? Is that something that he believes? Jerry Seinfeld, your movie is on Netflix, not because you decided that film was dead in theaters and no longer the best way to get you. No, your movie's on Netflix because it's a movie about Pop-Tarts made by Jerry Seinfeld. Okay, if this was a movie about the Civil War by Steven Spielberg, it would be in the movie theaters. You can believe it. So stop it. But Jerry Seinfeld has a good point. I think movie theaters are dead. I absolutely think that the film-going experience that so many of us, especially Gen X millennials, even some boomers, the film-going experience that was a huge cornerstone in the culture of our upbringings in this country. I mean, how many times you go to a movie on a Saturday at noon and you didn't come out of there till 8 o'clock because you kept sneaking into the next movie? Because, you know, you had to see Dirty Dancing and Rocky 3, right? They were both playing. You want to make 2 trips? You're 15. You're walking. You're there. You're not going to walk home and then walk back to see. No, you're going to see them all. Dates, first dates in movies. By the way, movie theater dates the worst. I tell people this all the time, but it's a tap out. It's a tap out date. And I understand it's a rookie date. It's a kid date. You want to go see a movie? We'll hold hands. That's so cute. But as a grown-up, don't ever take a person to a movie on a date. The fuck's wrong with you? You can't talk in a movie. What do you think a date is? Just buying time until you get to have sex with them? You got to actually talk to these people and get to know them. Choosing a movie. Hey, go to dinner. Get some coffee. Go to batting cages. Play some mini golf. Do something that is going to force you to interact with them. You know what that is? That's attractive people. I bet attractive people go to movies on dates all the time because they don't give a shit what they're going to say to each other. They know they're just going to bang at the end of the night anyway. So why not see a movie and then bang? But we uglies, we real people. We have to like decide if we like this person. We have to decide, well, we have to decide if they like us, you know? And so you got to talk. Anyway, movie theaters. I don't see movie theaters as being a driving force. They're gross. They're public. We don't like public things anymore. We really don't. And not, I'm not trying to be alarmist. It's not because of like mass shootings and all that. It's just that we seem to have, at some point in the 80s and 90s, we all started building what were termed McMansions, these big giant houses. And we suddenly had all these rooms for shit. And we didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's, so we all got theaters in our houses. Not me, I'm broke. But most people, they got theaters. You can enjoy a movie in your living room while sitting in your underwear, eating a bacon and egg sandwich, something you can't do in a movie theater. I mean, that's a pretty cool movie theater. If a movie theater offered bacon and egg sandwiches, that, who knows? But my point is this. We've become accustomed to the creature comforts of enjoying our films in our home. We've become accustomed to the concept that, hold on, I got to take a piss. Can I pause this? Boom, pausing it. Can't do that in theaters. Theaters suck. Hold on. I need to take a quick break. I need to answer this phone. We'll be right back, folks. We've got a bunch more to come. More stuff for me to rant on. I hope you're enjoying this, but I just need to quickly check in with that person who just called. So, as we like to say, we will be right back. I do apologize. It won't be any longer than a minute or so. Okay. All right. Very good. Be right back. Well, it's always dog related to some extent, right? That was a dog related call because my dog is not cool. All right, where was I? What were we talking about? Films. Yeah, movies. I don't want to go to a movie. I don't want to put shoes on to go to a movie. You're always rushing around. You're always late. You miss the first 5 minutes or whatever that is. So anyway, Seinfeld, he's saying the movies are dead, and he's acting like that's the reason that he put his new movie about Pop-Tarts on Netflix, when I think we all know calling bullshit on that. Your movie is not in theaters because nobody was going to put a movie about Pop-Tarts in theaters. But at the same time, he is kind of right. Movie theaters do suck nowadays. All right, let's see here. Oh, here's a crazy story right out of here, Texas. Kyle, Texas. You guys know where Kyle, Texas is? I have no clue. I didn't even bother to look it up. Kyle, Texas. Substitute teacher. She's been teaching in the Kyle, Texas high school. And by the way, it should be mentioned also that this is high school. This is a high school teacher, a substitute teacher. She comes in. I'm pretty sure substitute teachers just make everything up, right? Don't they just come in and go, here's what we're doing today. We're going to watch. I don't know, whatever. Then you just watch a movie. No, not this one. This one came up with this one had an idea. This one had a bit she was going to do. Well, and again, she was substitute teacher for a bunch of years. So also, maybe this plays into it. She was an art teacher, substitute teacher in art. You ever hang out with an art teacher? Actually, I should say this. You ever hung out with a female art teacher? Yeah, they're a little, I'm just saying, they're fun. They're fun. They got, they're interesting, curious. It's another one. That's a curious individual. They just, that kind of thing. What I'm saying is flaky. Okay. There you go. That's what they're flaky. They're a little flaky. They do things that are weird because, they're frustrated Van Goghs. I could have been a great artist, but instead I'm teaching high school kids in Kyle, Texas, and not even at the full-time level. I'm just a substitute. So you can expect a little bit of silliness out of substitute art teachers. Texas art teacher assigned students to perform a puppet show that depicted murder. Okay, so this art teacher comes into the class. She's like, all right, class, here's what we're going to do today. You're all going to make puppets, and then you're going to, these puppets, going to have to die. You're going to have to depict scenarios where all of these puppets die. I know, right? That's kind of weird. That's like, geez, that took a dark turn. Like, what? Why? For what reason? There is no explanation at this point as to why she wanted all these kids to create puppet shows where puppets get slaughtered, but she did. A Texas substitute teacher is being accused of making students perform a puppet show that included murder. Students told the school district that the art teacher assigned them to perform a puppet show in which at least one puppet had to be murdered. That's kind of awesome. It's kind of awesome. I mean, I don't want her teaching my kid, but it's kind of awesome. It's kind of funny. Like, I almost hope that she knew it was wrong and just did it anyway because it was funny to her that it was so wrong. But I don't think that's what's going on. I think this teacher had no idea why this is so wrong. Why this is just not wrong, right? Wrong is the easy way to say it. Inappropriate. It's not inappropriate for a high school student's art project. What are you doing? Why you got them killing puppets? She also made some of them do it over because the deaths of the puppet weren't violent enough. Yeah. Yeah. All right, we'll continue with the reading here because I know you want to know more. In the April 19th news release, the Hayes Consolidated Independent School District wrote that the substitute teacher had been suspended pending investigation. A parent who talked anonymously to Fox 4 says, "I am floored. I am angry. I am shocked. There's no lesson here. This is not okay." Yeah, that's all right. Thank you. That's a mom. That's the kind of, I'd be like, what? Why? What purpose? I don't want a substitute teacher. Well, it's about the mourning process and how when you become attached to things in life, they all go away and leave you empty and sad. Okay, cool life lesson, but maybe not for the substitute art teacher to be taking on. It says there, she called me. The parents told the television station that her daughter called her immediately after being assigned the project. She called me telling me that their art teacher was telling them that they were going to have to reenact a violent school shooting where they had to actually pretend to die. And then the mother went on to say, you don't have students 16 years old, 17 years old. You don't have them reenacting something that they are truly and in reality afraid of. By the way, it should be mentioned that that wasn't the assignment. The assignment wasn't a school shooting. It was just simply murder one of your puppets. I want you to do a puppet show, and in the course of the puppet show you do, I want one of your puppets to be murdered. The district says a group of students reported that their performance would have involved mass shootings. So like a bunch of the kids, they were like, well, okay, so how are you going to kill off your puppet? And like a whole bunch of these kids, because they're kids in 2024, went mass shooting. According to the district's news release, Johnson High School and Hayes CISD placed a substitute teacher of arts on suspension and removed the teacher from campus on Friday afternoon following concerns expressed by students about an in-class assignment. All right, there you have it. There you go. Teacher of the year, substitute teacher of the year. I like substitutes. We had some weird substitutes. We had this dude named Mr. Fromm. And I don't know what was going on with this guy. Holy cow. I would like at this age, my age right now, I would like to go back to my high school in 1985 and just sit quietly in a back desk and observe what's going on with Mr. Fromm. Because at the time, he just seemed like he just seemed like he was kind of out of it and kind of spacey. And, his hair was always messed up and unfortunately, he had eczema, the skin thing, that terrible skin thing that so many people have to deal with. And, if you're a substitute teacher with eczema who's got to stand up in front of a bunch of 14-year-old kids who know they're probably never going to see you again, that's a rough one. But it doesn't explain why he didn't comb his hair and why his clothes was always wrinkled. He was just a train wreck. I want to go back and I want to see this guy. And as an adult, I want to go, oh, he's a drug addict. Oh, I get it now. Like as a kid, I didn't get, but I want to reevaluate that whole situation. Shut up, dog. The dog is mad. That was the reason I had to take a break, was because there were some workmen coming over to fix the dog door for the dog. And now they've arrived, and I told them to let themselves in. The dog is now pining at the door to go down and kill the people who are here trying to provide her with a nice and safe dog door. Yeah, her response to that is, they're in my house. I don't care what it is that they're doing, but it's time for them to die. You okay, baby? You gonna be good? Come here. Here, come over and say hi. Come here. Come on. No, she is to the... All right, moving on. That's out of Kyle, Texas. Teacher a little bit upset. Look at us. We're going into overtime here. What else do we have? Reggie Bush. Hey, let's talk about Reggie Bush. This is a good story. It's a feel-good story. I don't have a problem with this. I wonder if this has anything to do with O.J. Simpson. I'll tell you what I mean by this. Reggie Bush is being given his Heisman Trophy back. He's being reinstated in the record books. Reggie Bush, of course, famously 2005, maybe? 2005 Heisman Trophy winner? I don't know, somewhere back there. USC, without doubt. He ran away with the Heisman that year. Reggie Bush was a phenom. Like the way I pronounce that. A phenom in college. And because of some things, some recruiting violations, and his parents were given a rental or a lease of a house and all of these things, which incidentally are today completely legal. Maybe not in the exact form that they took with Reggie Bush, but they're illegal and they're legal now in certain ways. So anyway, it wasn't legal then, and they took his Heisman Trophy, and they did that thing. They made him a non-person, non-history, that very communist thing that Stalin used to do, where the Heisman Committee just pretended that he never existed. No, nobody won the Heisman in 2005. Reggie Bush never existed. They did that for a bunch of years. And then last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, when O.J. Simpson passed away, the fucking Heisman Committee, because O.J. was a Heisman winner. O.J. won a Heisman. The Heisman Committee sent out a tweet with condolences from the official New York Athletic Club, the Heisman Committee. And they did this. We would like to wish a farewell to one of our great Heisman winners. It was O.J. Simpson. Now, what happened in the immediacy of that is that everybody looked at that and went, you're honoring O.J. Simpson, but Reggie Bush never existed because what? He wanted his mom to live in a decent place while he attended USC. They took a lot of heat for that. It was very embarrassing for the Heisman Committee. Very embarrassing. And now here we are just a couple of weeks later, and the Heisman Committee has reinstated Reggie Bush. They're giving him back all of his stripes. They're pretending like the whole ban never in fact happened. They are claiming it's because of changing climate and culture of college athletics. 2024 is certainly a different culture. What with the licensing and all of that, players being able to make all kinds of money. Tomorrow, there was an interesting thing this morning on Chicago Sports Radio, because I'm a Bears fan, and so tomorrow is the big draft, and we're definitely going to take Caleb Williams number 1. Hopefully, Rome Odunze number 2. We'll see. They were talking about Caleb Williams, how he is going to be the first player, superstar coming out of college into the NFL, who is probably going to make less money in his first year than he did in his last year of college because of these new licensing agreements. Caleb Williams already a millionaire. This whole thing now that, remember, we used to worry about when these players came out of college and we'd give them a big fat contract and you'd be like, well, let's see if this kid can handle it. These young kids with all this money, they can't handle it. Well, one thing that we know is that Caleb Williams can handle it because he's been a millionaire for a couple of years. He's been living in a penthouse condo in downtown LA while quarterbacking USC for about 2 years now, because of money that he was legally able to make off of his likeness and the exploitation and propaganda associated with his likeness by USC. So he's going to come into the football league and he's like, yeah, I've been rich for a while. I'm not going to run out and buy my mama a house. I bought my mama a house my junior year in college. So it's changed. It's changed dramatically. Reggie Bush has his 2005 Heisman Trophy back as the Heisman Trust announced Wednesday the formal reinstatement of the trophy to Bush amid what it calls enormous changes in the college football landscape. Well, good. You know what? I would like to sit here and just tear down the Heisman Trust because of it. Well, you took away Reggie Bush's and then you said a nice note onto OJ. Supposed to be mad about that, but they did the right thing. No, good for them. Good for the Heisman. So they did the right thing. You did the right thing. You gave it back. Well, I'm not going to keep complaining. You did the right thing. Now, Major League Baseball, let's put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Do the right thing. Pete Rose can't be in the Hall of Fame because he liked to bet. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball's biggest advertiser is now legalized gambling sites. So do the right thing, baseball. Do the right thing. The Heisman Trust, they did the right thing by Reggie Bush. The climate and culture and parameters of the game changed. So the Heisman Committee said, yeah, change. It's different now. Okay, Reggie, you can come in. Do the same. Do the same for everybody in any sport that has ever had their careers upended because they like to, bet the ponies. Or spend. That's actually the case. Not so much with Pete Rose. Pete Rose, it was like organized sports, but in the 50s and in the 60s, there were all kinds of professional athletes who were run out of their sports simply because they hung out at horse tracks and stuff. Paul Hornung, Alex Karras. Happened to Alex Karras. Do you remember Alex? Alex Karras, of course, was the father. What the fuck? Alex Karras was the father on Webster. The dad, George and ma'am, I love you, George. He was George on Webster. That was Alex Karras. He was a Detroit Lion. He was a badass football player, and he lost his career because he liked to bet the ponies. Hell, Joe Namath was almost run out of NFL football because he owned a bar, and one of the investors had mafia ties. God, for so long, there was this veneer that our professional sports athletes had to be like Superman. They all had to be the Lone Ranger. They weren't. They're just a bunch of athletes. They're just people. They're just pampered people who never had to work. So yeah, they're going to be inclined to do some things that are pretty shady by normal societal standards. Anyway, Reggie Bush is back. Woo! The stream of consciousness today is rolling, huh, man? I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time here. I'm just jumping from topic to topic. Face tattoos. Let's get into some face tattoos. So there's a woman here. I'm going to show you this picture. There's a woman who's very upset because she can't get her career isn't panning out the way that she wanted. She needs a job. No one's going to hire her. A woman said her tattoos got her rejected for a job. But experts say, no, it's not the tattoos. It's not the tattoo of the snake on her face. It's not that. It's just her personality. They're saying, so people are saying, I'm going to show you this woman. And we'll just talk about her coming into your little, I don't know what you're selling. You're selling widgets out of a strip mall. She's coming in. She wants to be your chief widget salesman. She wants to be a receptionist. She wants to sit there when people come in looking for widgets. She wants to be the first face that they see. That's the job that she's applying for. You tell me you're going to hire this woman? And I'm sorry. I was like, what you get? She might be nice. Nah, she's probably not. How do you know she's not nice? Because something happened in her life that she thought it was okay to tattoo a snake on her face. How about that? How about that for deductive reasoning? Context clues being what they are. Yeah, I'm going to say she's maybe not nice, or at the very least, not so dependable, because her face couldn't even depend on her to keep it looking like the way it's supposed to look. Instead, now she's got roses and snakes eating rats. I don't know what this woman's got. Here, we're going to show you. I'm going to show you a picture of her. And it's funny because she's also she's from the neck down. She's basically dressed in like the Hillary Clinton line from Macy's. She's like wearing like a business casual. And then she's got like crazy tattoos all over her face. She's complaining about how, people judge her for her tattoos. Here, let's look at her. I'll show her and then we'll read the story. All right. Now remember, the scenario is this. You own a widget store, and this wants to be the face that people see first when they come in to buy your widgets. Now remember, it's a very competitive widget market here in 2024. You've got another widget store right across the street. The person that they're going to see when they walk in there is not going to have a snake on their face. Giant hoops extending there. She's also got the giant hoop earlobe thing. She's doing too much. She is doing too much. A tattooed content creator sparked a debate about hiring biases after being rejected by TJ Maxx Corporate. This is her. She wanted to work at TJ Maxx. Experts say tattoos can impact hiring decisions, especially in customer-facing roles. But overall, it's the personality and the cultural fit that are more important. Okay. I am biased against people who have extensive tattoos all over their faces. Why am I biased against that? Well, I'm not biased about it in general. Like, I could be friends with these people. I could go out drinking with these people, and I could probably have some laughs and some good times with these people. However, I do not want to entrust these people with any kind of economic responsibility, at least not one that I am tethered to. Well, why do you say that? What, just because they've got a tattoo all over their face and giant hoops through their ears and pink hair? What, they can't be trusted? Yeah, precisely. That is exactly what I'm saying. getting your face completely tattooed like that suggests a lack of forethought, a lack of seeing what's going to happen next. Suggests to me that maybe you're somebody who lives in the moment, you're emotionally infantile, you act out and react to things in ways that are more drastic than other people. How will those character traits, the ones that I imagine led to you getting your entire face tattooed, how do those character traits then manifest themselves in other things that you do? Like when you're sitting there at my widget store and you're the first person people see, and somebody comes in to the widget store and says, "Oh, I don't like this widget," or says something, how are you going to react? Can I depend on you to make the right decision in the moment? Because I got to tell you, you were sitting there in a tattoo chair and a dude said, "Do you really want me to do this to your face?" And in that moment, you made decidedly the wrong decision. Am I being closed-minded? Am I being old? Yeah, maybe, but I still exist in the realities of civilized society. And the realities of civilized society is say that unless you are Post Malone and can sell 10 million records, you probably shouldn't be getting the full face tattoo. All right, there she is. God love her. Little sweetheart. There's something wrong with that person. I am sorry. If you have tattoos all over your faces and you have your earlobes completely extended out, and then she also went with the pink hair, which is totally fine because now even grandmas have pink hair. That's cute. I like that. I like the crazy neon hair color sometimes. But here's what I need. If you're going to have magenta hair or maybe seafoam green, electric teal, whatever the color of the hair is that you're going to do, make everything else normal. Cute, make everything, it can work if, the whole thing works. But if you're just like, crazy magenta hair and you're wearing a tube top, cutoffs, and flip-flops, it's like, nah. You went interesting with the hair, and then everything else you were like, I'm done. I don't like tattoos. I once dated a girl who had a lot of tattoos. And it was a real, it was a weird thing for me, but here's the thing, she was so beautiful. Like, I just thought that she was so beautiful. Like, she didn't have tattoos on her face. There were no tattoos on her face. She was one of these people who had tattoos where you could totally cover it up and you can look like, a debutante if you needed to. But her back, her arms, her, up to here, and I was always kind of, but she was really pretty. And I thought that she was so pretty. And I was just like, well, that's okay. She's just really pretty. And I can just, I don't have to kiss the parts that have tattoos. But I got used to it. I did. I got used to it very quickly. I used to be very anti-tattoo. And then it was me hanging out with her that I kind of went, oh, they're kind of cool. So now I don't really have a tattoo bias. Unless it's on your face and neck. I don't like it. Don't do the neck. Don't do the face. You can do? It's kind of cool. It's kind of edgy. You can get like a little tattoo, like right here, like behind your ear or something that suggests you have an edge, but you can still sort of, I like that. I like the suggestion of an edge. I just don't need you like, yes, I'm 70% away from looking like a salamander. I'm trying to get the full reptilian. No, I'm not hiring you to sell my widgets, man. I'm sorry. You made a choice where on some level you should have considered that there would be people out there like me who are not going to hire you after you get this face tattoo. It's just a radical, drastic, antisocial. It is antisocial. Making that choice, you are deciding to go out into civilized society in a way and do something that is going to cause people to go, whoa. And it's permanent. Whew. All right. What else do we have here? Let's talk about, this was, I gotta admit that I saw this name trending today and I thought to myself, whoa, wait a second. Why do I know that name? And then I thought about it and then I remembered, we lost a beloved member of the American Idol family. That's right. Another American Idol has dropped. We lost Nikki McKibben. We love Nikki McKibben. Nikki McKibben was a regular on our radio show, Kelly and me. Nikki McKibben used to fill in for Sybil, who I did the download with. Whenever Sybil wasn't there, we'd have Nikki McKibben come in. Nikki McKibben. Nikki McKibben was third place on season 1 of American Idol. It came down to Kelly Clarkson, who won, Justin Guarini, and then Nikki McKibben. Nikki was so fun. Nikki's dead. Nikki had problems. Nikki had a lot of tattoos. She was so fun, though. So cute. Really cute. What a beautiful woman. Like, just a really hot girl. So talented, too. Man, she had some problems. I remember one year we were doing our dodgeball tournament, and we had decided to create a couple of specialty teams. And one of the teams that we created for the dodgeball tournament was the Dallas reality show All-Stars. So we just made a dodgeball team of all people who have been on reality shows. You know, dude from Survivor, Survivor? Yeah. With somebody from Survivor, somebody from, The Bachelor, somebody from American Idol, that kind of thing. She was out there at Duke's, man, and I don't know what was going on, but she went nuts. And she started physically injuring a bunch of people by biting their chests, like just out of nowhere. She's like, we're all hanging out, we're having fun. It's like, what's going on with you, Nikki? And then Nikki just lunged into Eric, our old producer's chest, and went, and like took a bite out of his chest. He's like, what the fuck? And he started to scream. And then she turned to this other girl and she went, and she it's like she went zombie on us. It was very weird. It was a very weird thing. Like, we were all trying to be like, okay, is Nikki okay? Is she all right? It was obvious to me that Nikki had some problems. Doesn't change the fact that she was a really nice person when she wasn't having those problems. She was really nice. She was really sweet. We know how talented she was. She died. A lot of American Idol people died. Mandisa is the one we're talking about today. Mandisa was she was a finalist. She was the third runner-up on American Idol the year that I think it was Taylor Hicks. Oh my God. Do you remember that one? Did you guys used to watch American Idol? I did. I used to love that show. I didn't watch it because I was like, they're really good. Although they were all really good. I didn't watch it for that. I watched it because it was like a horse race. I used to love it. You'd have to watch it from the very first episode. And in the very first episode, you pick your horse. You're like, that's my horse. And then you also have backup horses because inevitably your horse might get knocked out in round 3. But, so you'd pick 3 horses. At least that's how me and my son's mom used to do it. We used to watch it like every year. Like, all right, pick your 3 horses. Nobody picked Taylor Hicks the year he won. That was like, ugh. So Taylor Hicks, it was the year Taylor Hicks won. Mandisa was an incredible singer. You might remember she was kind of a heavyset black girl. And so it was Taylor Hicks, and then I can't remember who the person that was with her was. I don't know. Let's call her Kelly Pickler. Maybe it was Taylor Hicks, Kelly Pickler. I don't know. But Mandisa was the one that I actually remember thinking she should win. She is the one. She's obviously got the best vocal talent. She's, she had this whole Aretha Franklin thing going. She was good. But then for some damn reason, Taylor Hicks won. That guy, the entire country went, what? Mandisa is dead. Mandisa died 47 years old. She was announced by her family. Mandisa did pretty well for herself. That's right. There are all these. That's the cool thing about American Idol. These people, it doesn't matter what genre of music you are. If you get your platform amplified, if you go on American Idol and you make it into the top 10, okay, so you might not be Britney Spears, but how would you like to be, have 10 hits, have 10 number ones on the gospel charts or something like that, or go to Broadway and become, somebody who makes, $5 million a year because you're doing 2 of the biggest plays. Why? Because people will come see it because they'll look at the poster and they'll go, oh, that's the girl from American Idol. Profile did a lot for these people on American Idol. Mandisa, in fact, she had quite a career. We never heard of her. I don't know. Maybe you did. Maybe you're into gospel. But she apparently she went on after American Idol to be wildly more famous and more successful, at least monetarily, than I'm sure Taylor Hicks was, who won the damn thing. I mean, how many times can you go to Branson, Missouri and see Taylor Hicks, right? But Mandisa, she tapped into the gospel market, and she was like, she would get, $50,000 every Sunday to go to some mega church somewhere else in the country. And what? Jesus, do that whole thing. She did well for herself. Here's the story: the sudden death of multiple Grammy winning. She won Grammys, like she won a bunch of gospel Grammys. The sudden death of multiple Grammy winning gospel singer Mandisa has stunned the American Idol community, from singers who appeared with her during season 5 to fellow alumni who were touched by her work and her life. Mandisa appeared on Idol in 2006. She went on to become a leading gospel artist, topping the charts with her debut album and later winning 2 Grammys. The singer and author was found dead at her home in Franklin, Tennessee. She probably gets a lot of You get a lot of Mandisa house in Franklin, Tennessee. She's got that gospel money. You get the gospel money and you move to Beverly Hills, you might have the smallest house on, any specific street in Brentwood. You get that gospel money and you move to Franklin, Tennessee, boy. I'm telling you, you got yourself the nicest house in Franklin, Tennessee, I'm guessing. Franklin police told the Tennessean that an active investigation into a death at her residence was underway. In reaction to her death, American Idol has issued a statement on social media that said Mandisa was an adored icon on American Idol and in the music industry. She had become a platinum-selling artist and had won several Grammys for her music. Her passing has left everyone on the show heartbroken, and we extend our deepest condolences to her family. Mandisa, we hardly knew you. She's gone. Yeah, heaven or hell? Okay, let's do it. Where'd she go? Heaven or hell? Gospel singer. She seemed really nice on American Idol. I'm putting Mandisa in heaven. That is the thing that I remember about her. She was like, because I wanted to root for her. And I thought she was the best. And so you were looking for reasons. And Mandisa, she seemed nice. And then she went into gospel. So yeah, money and eternal happiness. Barney says Pickler went out 6th place. She was one of my horses that year. Yeah, look, Pickler, since we're going to go back, we'll go back into some American Idol. Kelly Pickler was like, for me, I didn't think she should win. I didn't think she was very talented. She wasn't particularly talented, but she was beautiful. She was beautiful. I was like, come on, Kelly Pickler, come on out here, be the hottest girl at karaoke, because that's what she was. She wasn't particularly great. She was fine. She was beautiful though, and because she's so beautiful, she was able to spin that off into a little bit of a country career for herself. So everybody does fine. That's what I say. The greatest singer in America isn't the most famous singer in America. The greatest singer in America might be a plumber in Akron, Ohio. He just never got his break, never got discovered, but man, can he sing. Kelly Pickler, she got the break. She maybe wasn't so great. She was gorgeous, though. I like that McPhee girl, Catherine McPhee. Yeah, I think I liked her. Wasn't she on the same time as Pickler? Wasn't that it? Wasn't that a Ginger Marianne kind of scenario that we had that year? It was like, who do you like, Catherine McPhee or Kelly Pickler? I was Catherine McPhee. There was something. Woo. She had like a... Who was the chick that Tanya Harding bashed on the leg? Nancy Kerrigan. She had Nancy Kerrigan vibes that I was into, and I don't know why. I know it's very random, but for some reason, Catherine McPhee reminded me of All right, folks, that's going to do it. I think that's it. We are done. We have gone 2 hours and 35 minutes into today's show. I thank you all for joining us. We do this every day at noon, Monday through Friday, the High Noon Rant. I try to get you caught up on everything and anything that is happening in the world, whether it's trending or it's something that's happened in history. It's a but here's the deal. I do this show because I live in fear of you, my good friends, out there in this great scary world, standing in line at the 7-Eleven and somebody turning and going, hey, my man, did you hear about? And then you don't know what they're talking about. You're like, what? And then you got to stand there and you got to listen to some stranger through their filter give you bad information. Get your bad information from me. I'm the one that will tell you everything that people are talking about. My goal is for you to be in that very same line at the Starbucks or the 7-Eleven. You have that individual turnaround and they say to you, hey, did you hear about? And you can say, yeah, and that's not it at all. And I know because I listen to the High Noon Rant with Pugs Moran. I think we're good. I think that's it. Adam says, I just looked at it. Only 4 American Idol people have died. Only 4? Okay, but there's been a whole lot of been in trouble. Maybe that's it. That's probably it. There's been more than 4. He's like, I'm not trusting Adam Reyna and his quick little Googling. Been more than 4. Please. I killed 3 myself. Barney says, what I liked about Pickler was among all these people that worked and trained for years, there was the dumb blonde like, I just like singing, y'all. Yeah, that's true. And you put it well. Among all of these budding professionals who have been through all, she just showed up hot and cute, and suddenly she got on American Idol. That's how, hey, look, there is no greater representation of success in America than that. That is the path that I think we would all choose. You want to work hard in your career and, over time and attrition, suddenly be rewarded for all of the years. People will say he's an overnight success. And you're like, no, not really. It's been 30 years of me being an overnight success. Do you want to do that? Or do you just want to show up hot and cute and be brought right into the VIP room? I think we'd all choose the Kelly Pickler way. Maybe it's not as admirable. I don't know. Who am I to say what is and what isn't admirable? Frankie Smith says he always liked Kelly Pickler. She seemed nice. I don't know that she seemed nice, Frank. I think she seemed like a hot chick who knew exactly what to say and how to be cute and how to play the dumb girl. I don't know that I ever got any indication that she was nice. Shut up. You hear that? The dog's getting antsy. The dog knows that we've gone 30 minutes over what our typical time here of doing this show for 2 hours. Every day, Monday through Friday, is the High Noon Rant. I do it. My name is Pugs Moran. If you want to support the show, oh no, wait a second. We need to thank one more time. Our executive producer of today's show is the incredible Tracy D. Tracy D dropped a bomb. That's right. She's the executive producer. Want to be tomorrow's executive producer? All you got to do is tip the show. How do you do that? Well, you go to the Cash App or the Venmo. The show's been on the air every day, Monday through Friday since 2021. We're entering into our 3rd full year. And it's existed only because of your gratuities. Tip me like I'm your bartender, your pizza delivery man, your valet driver, whatever it is. Drop a little something if you appreciate this kind of talk radio. Non-political, current events driven. I don't care how you voted. We're just going to make fun of everything equally. That's what we do here on the High Noon Rant at the Radio Misfits podcast and live streaming platform, radiomisfits.com. I love you all. And we're done. That's it. That's it. We're done. Okay, wait a second. We're back. That's right. We're doing our little Marvel thing. Did you think it was over? I got to address Frank Berlin. Frank Berlin Berlin. Benlin. I'm looking at this wrong. He says in the chat room, he says, catching up on the timeline, Tattoo Face also has horn implants. The girl that we were just talking about, we're doing the story about the girl who can't complain she can't get a job because she's got tattoos all over. She's got horns too. What is that? We can't look. Livestock can't work the front desk. Do you want to have horns like livestock, or do you want to look like a human being? I don't know that it was all that important for me to come back for that little comment, but it's what we do here. Bye, everybody.